Welcome back, everybody. We're here with the Novus Cup, and this is going to be the League of Legends bracket. We're going into the grand finals just a little bit. It is myself, Alk, joined by Dark. Dark, have you been? How much of the tournament have you really caught up on?
On the tournament as a whole, not that much because I literally just worked like an hour ago. But we know it in the game. We know exactly what to kind of expect and what there is to show off here today. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, the tournament is fun. I'll just give a little bit of my history. Obviously, this is a tournament that is for Metro Vancouver locals only. I participated in the TFT tournament. We're going to put big asterisks on the participated. I went 7th, 8th, and immediately bombed out. We literally drowned in pools. That's the equivalent of what I did yesterday.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it happens. So I'm sad about that. I'm honestly, even watching the game just happened for TFT. Spent Brother going from 7th to 3rd. Insane. Yeah. Very high cap board that we saw there at the end.
Yeah, no, I was getting like some snippets from just me browsing around the channels as I was getting home from work and waiting to actually leave work. And a 7th to 3rd, that is a very it's cool to see, you know.
You made money. You made money on the day, which is good.
we love money, and the teams here we're going to see here today are also going to get money as well, no matter what the outcome is.
Yeah, for both of our teams, it is going to be $700 and $300 split between the two of them. So very much want to be looking at that. These are our rosters for today. Kittens of Alec. Now, Alec, the jungler, or Alexio, didn't choose this name. This is a name that may have been put upon him as the team captain for the guys. But coming into this match, this is going to be probably a matchup that if you are familiar with Metro Vancouver and specifically the university level, this is going to be SFU Black playing against what is essentially a former UBC lineup. So going to be very fun to watch and continue more of that collegiate rivalry here.
Yeah, I mean, from what you told me from beforehand as well, I'm considering that SFU did win against at least UBC last year. You know, even though this isn't exactly UBC as a whole, you know, it's still practically there in spirit, right? But there is this sort of idea of like, you know, can SFU actually keep the status quo from last year and win out again this year, or it will KOA now, Kittens of Alec today, or / UBC from a while back. Will they be able to actually shake things up this time around and try and make this a technical 1-1 scenario?
Look, all I'm gonna say in defense of Kittens of Alec is that UBC used to be gangster when it came to CLOL. Obviously have one of the oldest collegiate championship wins multiple years ago. Probably looking at like, what, I think it was like 8 or 9 years ago that SFU or UBC originally won the biggest collegiate championship at the time. And since then, it hasn't been looking good. I know recently some of their results have been a little bit better playing here on the West, but in general, I would say that SFU has had some good looks collegiate-wise. This is obviously not exactly their roster. They also were running both Crimson and Black here in the tournament. It's honestly unfortunate that they were on opposite sides of the bracket when we looked at it. We don't have the bracket immediately, but Kittens of Alec potentially going on a run because on their side, they played their best of one versus SFU Crimson and beat them. And so I'm looking forward to whether or not they can continue what is apparently Chiv's never 100% win rate versus SFU.
100% win rate is actually kind of crazy when you really think about it, and there's something to be said from either side here. I am personally very curious exactly how everything all pans out, because being an outsider to this, to peel back behind the curtain a little bit, you know, I don't exactly know what I'm going to be heading into in Vancouver. This is a Vancouver exclusive event. I don't have the time to really pay much too attention to what's going on in there, you know. But from what I've been hearing from you as well, from others, I can tell for a fact that this will be a very good and fun fight today.
Oh, we're gonna be heading straight into draft here now. If I remember correctly, and I'm just gonna scroll back through because we have a lot of stuff going on in our chat currently. SFU Black starting on the blue side. This is one of the first times we'll actually see them play on this side here in this tournament, and this is the only portion of this bracket that is best of 3. We've had best of 1s to get to this point up until now. So Alistar, Graves kind of seems normal, but when I look back at some of the games that SFU have played so far, they've been relying very heavily on Corki and Nami as a incredibly aggressive bottom lane. So I'm looking forward to what they have. Also to note, they're playing on a new patch, so I'm kind of like ready to see what's gonna go on for them.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of the patch notes that just happened here, but I think it's still a very interesting thing to keep in mind, considering they're. I think this was probably one of the larger patches we had, if I'm keeping my patch history in mind from these past few patches. I think this is one of the bigger ones that we had this new year, and so I don't remember everything that's changed off my mind, but it's.
They changed a lot.
Who knows?
They nerfed Rumble, like they buffed Hex Optics, which I think is by far now the best item in the entire game. We are gonna get a slightly inverted Yunara. Don't look at her, okay? She's just feeling, I wouldn't say Australian because she's not upside down entirely, but she's taking a nap right now.
A little bit tired, you know. You got a long day ahead of you, you know. Well, I guess not. This I should have asked this beforehand, but you know, hindsight's 2020. This is Fearless, right? We are using Fearless for our draft here.
I don't think so. I'm
No?
looking. It looks like it's tournament draft, like just regular. I'm looking at the rules, at least on the Novus Cup rule book. Didn't say anything about Fearless.
Okay.
So I think we're just gonna be. I think it's fair. I think Fearless, while very cool for like an esports level, I think for local tournaments, probably a little less so. I'm not expecting, Kittens of Alec to have 5 champions ready to go at any given time. So looking back at the draft, Yunara, a great team fighter, didn't necessarily get touched this patch, but has been getting a few nerfs back to back in previous patches. And so we see here from the Kittens, we're getting both the Orianna, who has been, I think, the best mid laner on the patch so far, competitively speaking, and we're breaking up one of the Enchanter pairs by getting a Lulu already and probably setting ourselves up for the Aphelios to match.
I mean, Orianna and Lulu have always just been staples in at least the general esports scene, so it doesn't shock me to see them get picked out, at least especially this early. And over on the other side of SFP Black, I think that they are locking in Sona, which I don't really remember seeing too much. Probably not as used as someone like Lulu and Orianna, but Galio is definitely. I'm a big Galio fan. I always love seeing Galio dive on, especially into a 5-man. So I'm already like starting to get excited seeing what this Galio can do here.
Yeah, I wonder what the Orianna build is going to be, because I've been a big proponent of going Ludens, because you basically just one-shot the opponents if they ever walk forward, but a Galio kind of asks you to be a little bit more tanky, and usually you're not able to super hard win the lane. I do want to note that the support here for SFU Black, Priscilla, very well known for playing enchanters on the solo queue ladder. They are, for a long time, one of the biggest, if you don't know, very famous on Twitter as well, but they have been very, very good on specifically champions like Lulu and Sona. So good to see that we're kind of already sticking to our guns here. Also, again, a big departure from what we saw from them earlier on in the tournament. So we'll head into the second phase of draft. We have some decent team fighting here. I do want to see a little bit more solid frontline coming on through, and so a champion like Xin Zhao comes to mind. Very, very disgusting when played with a Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, as we're getting these next set of bands coming through as well, it's exactly what they want. Literally, as you mentioned Xinjiang, in my head I was like, oh, we also might be able to see a Jarvan here, but no, Jarvan gets banned right out the gate here. On top of the Dr. Mundo, Mundo does Mundo things, I guess, but no, but yeah, as you do say though, that frontliner here with the Xin Shao is gonna be coming through with Kinnon's Alex side, so that's definitely gonna be a bit of something to keep in mind for SFQ here.
I feel so bad for our drafter tool here because like everybody is mostly in frame, and then Oriana's like, and then Sona's on the other side like.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes just how things that turn out to be, just how everything's oriented, it just doesn't line up that well. So sorry,
Red
Oriana.
side's
Sorry,
good. Red
Sona.
side, everybody's like peeking out from the side. Well, I'm sorry. This is not even a lower third. This is an upper third. So we end up seeing, again, I think that for this red side composition, it is really hard for SFU to break them right now. When I look at the damage profile for SFU Black, it is predominantly magic damage.
Mhm.
Gragas, even Yunara has a lot of that
Mhm.
magic damage, and then you look at this mid and support duo. I'm going to be very worried for them if they fall behind at any point, and it's not like they have an incredibly aggressive composition. They have something that's going to want to be able to take their time in fights, get multiple rotations off, and slow down what is going to be an inevitable team fight coming in. Otherwise, this red side, they have good long range engage thanks to this Orin. Xin Zhao also now lets you do that with this Lulu in his back pocket. And then Orianna plus Aphelios means if you walk into a certain amount of range, you're just going to start getting hit. You're going to get exploded.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do think Kittens Alex red side here, they definitely have like a lot more going for them, but I don't think SFU is down for the count just yet. There's I think there's some cheeky angles here that they can pick off, especially if they can probably position the Gragas to get a nice pick or two off of like maybe. Can a Gragas what's it called burst down an Orion fast enough? I don't see this matchup a lot. So
well, if Gragas ends up getting enough, like if they go for like a full AP build, maybe. I think it makes or puts a lot of pressure on this Gragas to essentially like carry this game now, because it's not like if they go for a full AP build, a single polymorph ruins the game immediately versus the Lulu. But Gragas has a lot of range. He can use his barrels. He can use his ultimate to try to displace everybody. And that's kind of going to be the name of the game. Unless Wukong masterfully somehow sneaks by all 4 members of the front line and just like walks in and gets a Cyclone, and they also get the Galley ultimate. I don't know if they necessarily have enough damage to kill an Aphelios, but it really, to me, just means that Gragas needs to 3-pointer into everybody's now displaced and they don't get a real team fight. But that feels like a lot.
Yeah. And no, and it is a lot, especially, you know, with Kittens Alex side, you have the Lulu and the Orianna shield. You have Orange to slow things down front and to help with that peel if they do get in there. It's like there's a lot that you need to do to have to try and break through some of this wall that Kittens Alex has. But just because it's gonna be hard for SFU, it doesn't mean it's gonna be impossible. You know, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's the same team fight at level like 5 or whatever, and things just completely go in favor of SFU Black. It's League of Legends, you know.
I mean, sure. I just worry that I don't think the laning phase is particularly very easy for them. Like Aphelios Lulu wins the 2v2 versus Sona and Yunara, even though Sona can play a little bit more aggressively. I just think that the range advantage and the 2v2 is way too much in favor of them. The early lethality that Aphelios gets access to, his range early on is really dangerous. And then it's again reliant on these solo lanes here for SFU Black. Can Galio hold Orianna in lane enough in the early game? Probably, especially after his first recall, it's fine. But I need to see stuff early. So what I want to get from SFU Black in this game is either them finding objective leads early on in the bottom lane, probably just pulling Wukong over. We've seen that more and more junglers are willing to flip the game a little bit earlier on, but that comes with its own risks, right? Because if you mess up the gank, or if you are behind in tempo in jungle, you fall behind very quickly, and these jungle camps are filled with golden experience. They are absolutely turbocharged this season.
And especially now as an overall statement too, like the game just starts faster, the game moves faster now. So one gank that doesn't go that well puts you behind a lot more than it did in previous seasons. So it's gonna be both. It's gonna be very mindful of just trying to make sure that you can either, if you can set up a proper gank in the proper way to let you get a nice early flip, or just stick with farming, stick with the more consistent route to try and make sure you have the experience and the goal you need to do an actual proper full-on gank, especially with these objectives coming in earlier as well.
I do also, if we're going to give SFU Black a little bit more credence here, the AD carry for Kittens of Alec, Hub, previously was playing in Tier 2 and Tier 3. He lost a best of 5 in one of their last competitive series, and then kind of just retired from the scene entirely. this is one of his first couple of games coming back. And because the rest of the bracket was best of ones, he's played 2 games of the season. Talking to their coach, Alec, he was basically saying, like, he came back and he's like, wow, there's turret plates everywhere. And the minion waves, they're coming out so fast. Why are they moving so damn fast? So he's playing a little bit of catch up here. And I think that's going to be maybe something that hopefully gives SFU a little bit of time here in this series, because Hub, at least from the time that I knew him, was a really, really strong team fighter. And I think Aphelios kind of lends credence to that, especially with the composition that they've drafted for themselves.
I mean, yeah, like if it is that angle of like, you're still trying to get a grasp on like everything that's changed in this season, having
it's not that different though for AD carries though. Let's keep it a buck here, like
You're right on that end. You're right on that end. They get so much more gold in that summon item. Whatever, right? But the temple of it at the very least, that Aphelios still has that sort of what's the word? Lifeline of the Lulu and the Orianna being able to protect them a bit more, to say that way the Aphelios can actually speed things up, or I lost my train of thought.
So I'm doing a little bit of cheating here. I'm looking at our observer HUD right now, and I'm seeing a lot of masters borders. I'm seeing some grandmasters. Our top lane and support for SFU are currently grandmaster. Jungle is masters. Mid lane is diamond, not looking too hot right there. And Hub is completely decayed. He's in diamond right now, but I know last season he was like 1700 LP plus in the last split. So as long as he gets back to his grind, I'm sure that he'll be good. But might be experiencing some rank deflation this season, which has been a big topic, I know, online.
Yeah, it is. Oh man, it's very. I'm looking at these boards here, and I'm like, my knee-jerk reaction is like kind of worried about like how things might shake out, but you don't really know the full story from just this preview as well. But also,
I need to tell Alex to turn off streamer mode. I should have known this was gonna happen. It's so funny because Alec previously we were just hanging out on Twitter, and he had a tweet where he stole Baron as support Alistar, and I think he was playing against like a bunch of pro players, and I was like, hey, this clip doesn't count because you're on streamer mode. So because I think the quote was, I think the quote that he put on the tweet was like, they wouldn't have let me in the pit if they knew it was me. I'm like, it doesn't count. You're on streamer mode. Like, I could say this to anybody on Alistar. This could have been anybody's play.
It could have been my play. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm the Alistar now. I'm stealing your.
We all are Alistar, actually. If you didn't know, keep up with the program, Man.
We are currently waiting to get into game, folks. There is still a 3-minute spectator delay, and so we are hopefully going to be getting into game rather soon. But otherwise, I would say, Novus, first of all, thank you. This has been a very fun event, I think, especially for Metro Vancouver. I think that Deepay and Wigwug were previously on the TFT cast spitting a lot of facts about why there are a pretty large concentration of high elo gamers here in Vancouver. I made a joke in the TFT section that we're going to do a hot map for all the TFT players, and for some reason, all of the TFT like masters and challenger players are for some reason located all around Richmond and UBC.
I mean, I'm just smiling and nodding along with you because I have no idea what this seems like in Vancouver. So you could be spouting like 50-50 like truths and lies right now, and I have no other choice but to agree with you because who knows? I don't know. I surely don't know.
I don't know either. I want the heat map data. That's why I need the tournament organizers in the nicest way possible to give me the data. I want them to start releasing people's personal. No, I'm sorry.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
Look, we can just collate all of it, and it'll make it really cool. And then Novus suddenly knows where they need to run fiber optic lines going in the future. We're creating customer data in the future. I'm capitalist first here, guys. Only on the show.
only on the show, really. You know, what? Oh, but I do think we are now finally getting into this match, folks. So we get to see exactly how this. I'm hopeful for amazing series is going to be.
There we go. We're heading in again. Best of 3 for this grand finals. So going to be pretty fun to watch, especially for what is hopefully going to be a very close game, a close series here. Again, this is remnants of a UBC roster going against Simon Fraser's Black team. Currently seeing an early invade on the top side. This has been something that I've been wanting to try out more in higher elo. Is if you have a winning topside matchup, you just invade early, especially for how much the jungle camps are very early on and disrupting a champion like Xin Zhao.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I still need to like dive into like some of the numbers and trying to figure out exactly like how it all plans out. But a lot of times, I do like note that there is a lot more opportunity for an early invade like that to happen to try and steal camps. And you know, of course, the people, your mid laner or your bot lane do help with trying to put wards to make sure that doesn't happen. But I think there's at the level that things are now with this game's knowledge, there's people have found out more and more clever ways to like get around some of that vision to really try and steal away that. And so it's been very, very fascinating to see how things have been changing up a bit with this new season.
I think people are still figuring out like exactly how they want to play, and especially at this level where there is significantly less amount of coordination comparative to pro play. I think people have started to figure out that while lane is important, it is still creating some differences. Now I'm coming back. Hold up. Boom, we're back. We are trying to currently fix the feed for everybody at home. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's been interesting to see. At first, we started off the season with like everyone just stay in your lanes, keep full. We're gonna full clear on jungle, and we're gonna show up at 5.5 minutes for the third scuttle of the game. And now it's started to devolve into, okay, what can we do in the early game to break that? Can we either find early invades? Can we actually move our mid laner into certain scenarios? I know that there's been talks of like certain strategies around that lane, so I'm really, really interested to see if there's anything we get from these two. I personally am favoring Kins of Alec, just from, again, I know Alec at least previously, and the quality of his work has been very good. So I've been more impressed with that.
Yeah, and to go back, but a lot of this game, this season right now has just been people like trying to like figure out exactly what is the best way to like position themselves for some more of for the remainder of their laning phase especially after this first back here. There was a bit of a trade in the bot lane to try and I guess force the wave in as best they can, but it didn't really. I got lost in the whole tradition. I didn't really pay too much attention at the end there, but yeah, it seems pretty non-committal right now from both sides across the screen. You know, no one's really trying to do anything too drastic, too out there, just yet to try and flip anything. Just the main goal right now is just that consistency of getting the XP and gold from the waves as best they can.
Yeah, Hub has a fairly decent lead, and this is kind of the problem that I had from the draft. Like, all of these lanes are winning right now, especially in mid lane. So what are you as a Wukong supposed to do with what is essentially working 3 losing lanes? You're not going to get priority or win a skirmish in the 2v2 bottom lane. This is supposed to be a good matchup topside, but regular Mu is barely getting anything done here in this matchup. And now it's, I think, honestly, even harder for them because they've now shown on top side. This allows for Chiv to walk into bottom side jungle, get vision. They know that Wukong has to now come to this side of the map sooner. And you also have the additional information of the timers on their camps. You'll know when Respawn Raptors is, know when Respawn Red is now. So I think Kins of Alec gets so much done in that small amount of time. Also don't get spotted. So this is a great use of Fog of War from them and just an information gain for the side of Kins of Alec.
Yeah, and again, a lot of this just comes from the fact that, like, you know, the game is a bit faster. You know, you try to attempt a gank like that, and if it doesn't pan out, you just lose so much time, so much tempo that now it is White Knight's losing behind on some of the jungle play here. And we do see Chorus here going in against Flo to try and at least trade out, even out the lane a little bit so they can catch him with the CS. And it does seem to neutralize here a little bit. But going to the bot side now, a bit more of a early skirmishing here from both sides on both bot lanes.
All right, this is going to continue to be a really good spot. Now, where are we going to see them break this? This is the question for me from SFU. What are we going to do to try to break this line? Maybe we look for something in mid, but already I'm kind of seeing that Corvus doesn't have a ton of HP or mana. Also, Wukong is kind of searching for their level 6 at this point, and now we're coming across a breakpoint where we're going to cut to the 5:30 mark soon. I want to see both junglers. Hold up. That's not good.
Surely, okay. I was like, surely that doesn't get that kill there, and that is going to be a huge loss for regular move here on the top side. Losing a lot of HP against Ornn, who's, well, you don't have ult anymore, and now since we do have that Dragon online, you could try and flip the fight here, but the real attention here is now that Dragon's up. Everyone's going to be trying to see who's going to be the first to contest this Dragon here. White Knight looking to try and see if they can make any sort of entry in the river, but no, it looks like both sides on the red wants to try and at least deny any attempt at the Dragon this early on.
Yeah, so you look at our jungle camps or our jungle tree counters right now, 22 and 21. Usually if the Scuttle were to spawn on the bottom side, this would not only give the junglers upgraded smite, but then level 6, and that basically turns into a free dragon. Thankfully for the side of SFU, they've gotten the Scuttle on the top side of the map. Love good RNG coming out. So it is going to mean that Wukong, not going to hit level 6, but now has upgraded smite. He should win any smite fight for the time being. Maybe they try to go for grubs that are going to be spawning in a few here. Gragas will have a timer now that Ornn just TP back. Maybe they look for something onto him.
Yeah, it's now some of the tempo has been shaken up a little bit, but across the board, everyone's trying to figure out exactly what the first big wave is going to be from any of the lanes. It's going to be top lane, maybe not mid lane, since we do see Flo still has a very good lead over Corvus right now, and bot lane is slowly getting pushed in as both Hub and Lulu are trying to make sure they can secure the play, make sure that Yunara and Sona can't walk up and collect the CS they need, and just zoning them off as best they can.
Sona's going to have a massive spike on 2 items, Diadem of Souls, plus whether it's Echoes of Helia or even Moonstone Renewer. I'm going to be really excited to see what happens then, but it's whether or not the actual damage carries can do anything, right? Because an Enchanter is supposed to make or enhance the abilities of her carries, but if your carries are behind or if your carries are just not strong enough, everything kind of falls apart at that point. So right now, we're seeing a very big lead starting to get opened up. It's about 1,000 gold here for Kins of Alec, and I have not seen anything here. Dark, I'm going to keep it a buck. Like, what's going on? I'm down 20 in both mid and bot, and we have not started any objectives here. There's no grubs. There's no dragons. Obviously, Herald's not going to be spawning here.
Oh, but a bit of a fight in mid. We do see the flash on both sides get used. Unfortunately, the Ornn does not manage to secure the kill, but this could at least mean that either jungler might want to try and position for a gank on top lane here. But no, turning their attention to mid lane here. Flo using their ultimate to keep the Galio locked down, but it's not enough. Chip, unfortunately, not being able to follow up on that as Corvus escapes with a life and manages to stabilize the mid lane at least a little bit.
I think this is a tough grubs ask right now. I know that Flo's going to be stuck in mid. Gragas also gets to move here first.
Oh, White Knight going in. Matt does not manage to get the first steal on the first grub here, but flashing, following the flash over the wall, gets the first blood. Ornn now trying to go see if they can save the fight, but does not unfortunately manage to catch any of it. And easy pickings. First two picks of this game goes to White Knight, which I think is a very good flip to try and restabilize a lot of this very slow early game.
If we're talking about flips, I just don't know why Kins of Alex are moving into that. We don't have the Aura Shockwave. Even if she doesn't move first, Galio, yes, he's low, but he still has the heroic entrance. He can always come to that fight if they really need the numbers. So a good ask there. If I'm Kins of Alec, I'm kind of looking back and saying, hey, we just used some tools in mid. Let's take our recalls and we can redeploy through bottom lane. Great punish coming in from SFU Black to give them the resources and those kills. It means that White Knight's going to get ever so closer to things like a Trinity Force. Going to be a very big spike for them.
Yeah, a good call to try and punish that way and did. And now it looks like there's a lot of is happening across the board right now. Top lane looking to try and get behind a lot of that Orin here, but no, as we take a look back, yeah, it was a very good follow through from that flash of the flash, and it is a big question of why Kings of Alex wanted to try and steal the one grub here. They at the very end, at the end of the day, they do manage to get the single grub right, which is huge, making sure that they don't get making sure SFU doesn't get all 3 grubs, but I don't think it was worth it at the end for that.
I think it's extremely not worth it. I agree. I mean, like, again, they don't have numbers. Sona even rotated for this, so they definitely would not have won that. That's not something that they would have known if you are Kittens of Alex. So coming out of it, it does equalize a lot of the gold lead, but I still think it doesn't make up for some of the disadvantages. And we're also seeing right now, Hub on their first recall, they're the ones that got the call. Yunara at the same time got a longsword when they took their first back. So we're kind of going to expound a little bit more on this gold lead, opening up a 40 CS lead in the bottom lane. This allows for the Dragon, and even with 2 grubs, I don't think it's enough of a meaningful impact early on. You're going to now start to potentially have Dragon stacking, and we talked about the scaling here for Kins of Alex. So small speed bump in their game. I want to see SFU Black continue that lead now, especially with White Knight finishing that Trinity Force.
Yeah, that Trinity Force online can actually help alleviate a lot of these growing pains as we get more and more deeper into the laning phase. But it definitely is a question of, can SFU manage to keep this going in their favor? Using that momentum here, Corvus going in to try and get flow. I think White Knight might be able to get the pick. Orianna have to use the R to try and save their lives, but unfortunately, it's going to be Shim who's going to be going down here as Corvus takes that pick, but Priscilla is not going to let it go, using the R to get them stun on Orianna, but Orianna running through the river, running away from their lives. White Knight looking to try to cut it off, but gets Hub potentially instead. We see the R used from Lulu to try and save Hub here, and that's still 2 picks in favor for SFU.
Chiv, you just gotta let your mid laner die there. Well, what's going on here? That is a big win here for SFU. 2 kills, one of them going on to the Yunara. I'll take that, and we also got so many flashes during this play. Both AD carries had to trade theirs, but now Orianna doesn't have that summoner spell. That could be something that they could revisit here. Dragon doesn't spawn for another 3.5 minutes, so that could be something that eventually gets them punished if they can have the Galio or the Wukong go on top of them. We're going to take a look at this play again. And this starts pretty late into that play, but you get a lot of really big tools coming in from Kins of Alec, and this is just time for them to make up the deficit, make up some of those CS leads that we saw coming in from Kins of Alec.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very much early. It was early winnings for Kins of Alex with the delaying phase, but a lot of these fights didn't really pan out in their favor. And so now they're the ones who has to try and make sure they can at least establish their lead once again with a lot of wave management, a lot of these pushing power on their side. But the fact of the matter is still the fact that there is those 4 picks in favor of SFU, so they're going to be ahead on some of their gold here. And it looks again, Corvus looking trying to pull flow deeper into the lane so White Knight can come in from the shadows and get flow once again, but no, still committing their art, but I don't think that's going to be enough as the flash and the D is going to be able to lock down that Orianna.
Yeah, no flash, good punish. I mean, they didn't even use any of their big ultimates going into that, so now they have complete control of the bottom side. You can see they're already starting to fade. Yunara still hasn't finished their 80 carry quest, so the gold lead here between them and Hub is going to be pretty meaningful. Now, Chiv can just cover this lane. I think this is perfectly fine. Yeah. You don't have any other camps to do. This was a very telegraphed play coming on there from SFU Black, but a good pick on the flow does mean that some of that damage is going to be lacking. And kind of touching back on when we looked at from draft, what build were we going to get from the Orianna is going to be Blackfire Torch, so a lot of ability haste, but will lack some of that big upfront burst to really deal with a champion like Galio or even just burst out a champion like Yunara later on. So right now, this is a good spot for SFU Black. I want to see them get a little bit more. Obviously, now Unara's finished their quest, so it's going to be getting that same amount of gold that Hub will, but might mean that a second item will be more on the cards for this Aphelios later on.
Yeah, and a bit of a skirmish here on the top side, though, as both top laners were in under tower, fighting the tower. Regular Mood trying their best to at least get as much gold as they can, and unfortunately had to commit their flash here to stay alive. But now Shiv, knowing that this Gragas does not have flash up, does try to look for a flank, but I don't think with the position there was much of an angle to begin with, unless you really hardcore I lost the word. Unless you really hardcore engage there, and I don't think they wanted to do that just yet.
Yeah, regular Moo has the ultimate coming up. Like any dive on the Gragas is really tricky, and Rod of Ages, I mean, that makes this champion extremely difficult to deal with if you don't have heal cut. The amount of healing that he gets access to, the amount of HP that this champion already has at level 12 with this item, a lot. And we talked about Gragas having to be a big person in this game, just with the amount of burst that he has access to, going for that AP build, so probably going to be having a Cosmic Drive second. There's a lot of damage coming through.
Yeah, Unara being able to actually chunk down the Aphelios very quickly, turning on the Lulu, gets too big, the double kill in a matter of seconds. Again, it is just the fact that I think it was that first early kill that this Unara managed to grab a few minutes ago, and they're able to keep this momentum going as White Knight comes in and gets yet another pick on the Orianna.
And they got the Herald during this play, so SFU are going to take down this turret and grab the dragon all in a matter of minutes here. In a single minute, they have gotten 3 kills, they've got 3 kills, a dragon, a mid turret, and the Herald. That is a massive swing in this game. 3,000 gold going over to SFU Black. And just in general, despite some of the lane advantages, despite some of the matchup advantages, Kins of Alec have really not stood the test of being able to win some of these, especially thanks to White Knight, who I think, despite a little bit of a slower early game, has definitely outplayed his counterpart on Chiv.
Yeah, and I mean, now we're looking back at top lane once again. And yet another attempt for Regular Mood to try and shut down this Gragas. It could be successful for Shiv and the rest of KOA, as they are able to get that Gragas down, getting some of that gold back on their side, and Aphelios going up against Priscilla, almost knocking them out, narrowly avoiding the Q cast there in order to try and get that follow-up after they moved away from the screen.
Does have the Calibrum, so again, that range is massive. It'll be Flo picking up a turret in bottom lane. Hub also finishing this one. Oh, he gets so close! Isn't able to do it, so that's going to be 2 ultimates now expended. The Wild Growth the Rampant Growth here for Unara's ultimate. That's a very big cooldown. Orianna's also moving.
Oh, and White Knight once again finding the right angle, the perfect opportunity to come in, split up the team fight at the very least to buy the ADC sometime, as well as
regular
support. But oh my goodness, 2 goes down. White Knight with the spin to win here, going down unfortunately for a 1-1 trade, but I still think it's very much in favor of SFU Black with that cleanup there.
Great TP coming in from Regular Moo. Insanity, because they used that ultimate to try to kill Gragas earlier, can never join this fight and win. So massive moves coming in for SFU Black, who continue to have their lead. And while the gold has been starting to work back in favor of KOA, the team fights still look incredible. I love that what we're getting from them, especially from this 2v2 in the bottom lane. Despite the deficit here, Unara and Priscilla have been very strong at being able to stand forward. I kind of wish Chiv had just walked up to allow his AD carry to finish this turret. I think the fact that he's not only sitting in a brush, but also sitting on vision provides so much for the enemy team to just like defend on the minion wave and play up. Lulu steps too far up, loses the flash, and then Chiv has to go forward but cannot chase Priscilla. Using the Aurum there, the Q from the auto attack passive, it just does so much damage, and the healing aura that Priscilla is also providing is a lot. That's a flash from Aphelios. I think this makes this next dragon fight a little untenable here for KOA to play for.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you do give a bit more gold than you probably would have liked with Priscilla going down there, but at the end of the day, it was very much a very worthy play, and I gotta give it to White. I gotta give it to White Knight again for just every single time there's a lot of these team fights going on, White Knight just knows exactly when to move and quickly rotates in order to get in proper position to help out on a lot of these team fights. And what the 2 towers?
Our observers just really love these turrets.
Actually...
Yeah, 34 in mid and 130 on top side. That's pretty crazy. Still no mid turret, guys. Just hit it. Someone else has to hit it. Like, if we're gonna go top side and get plates, that's fine, but Galio's going to have TP soon, has a level advantage. They really want to at least get this. I don't think we're catching Gragas, though.
It's Gragas. You do commit the on R, but no, never mind.
Nice.
The barrel from Gragas here means that Or cannot recast, get the Or here,
Oh!
but knock up, CC chain to death here. But again, White Knight quickly rotating, coming in to support the fight, and turns what was probably going to be a losing fight into a winning one as a double goes in favor for this Wukong, and now KOA not being able to contest this Baron at all is just forced to back up and try and see if there's potentially a second angle here. They're looking to try and regain as best they can. They do have though that Aphelios all up, so they could potentially burst down SFU as best they can. The Orianna ult is used to lock them down, but Yunar does get the pick through everyone, and it's just not enough for KOA as SFU cleans up the remainder of this fight and the remainder of the team.
We just walked way too far forward. My Orianna TP'd, Flash, had ultimate the entire time, and uses at the very end to barely put any damage down there. A very worrisome sign here. And then going forward, Leandri second, this Orianna is going to do no damage. So the game now comes down to, can Hub carry? With 2-item Aphelios, with Infinity Edge in his pocket, I think it's a really tough ask. You're looking down 2-item Wukong, 2-item Yunara with a Fiend 100 bolts completed. This is a big win coming on through for SFU, who might not get the Baron, but win big time with a massive team fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a shaky early start for them, but once again, just White Knight always seeming to catch a lot of these rotations at the right moments, at the right times, to really try and make up for a lot what would have been a very not horrible scenarios, but
look at how much HP this guy has.
Yeah.
He's 3,000 HP with 1.5 items. This is never a fight we're going for. This is a great cast from him. You prevent them from getting any damage, and by the time the rest of the team is here, Wukong's already made his move and over. He's using those home guards to get him back into position a lot better, or a lot faster than his opponents. So it just feels like KOA are maybe 3 seconds behind the play, and also they don't have the damage to really afford to be that late.
Mm-hmm.
You can be that late if you're ahead. If you're behind, that's where it becomes a little bit more problematic. So despite the Ornn items giving over 1,000 gold in their value, I think with the state of the game right now, this is going to feel more like 5,000 and 6,000 in advantage for SFU Black. They already have 2 dragons, and right now with where their comp is, this is kind of the apex of where their power is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very much a slowly losing game, but not necessarily out for the count just yet. It's just got to be making sure that they can try and find the proper picks here, trying to find the proper opportunities to either steal an objective or get a pick off of one of the squishy targets, like on the Yunara or the Sona, right? But even then, I think even with those like cheeky one-off picks, I don't think that's still going to be enough to stabilize a lot of this playing field. And as with the mid game is now starting to open up, we're trying to see exactly what the next big move is going to be here. Baron is up right now, but neither team looks like they're wanting to try attempt that for now. So it looks like it's just going to be a matter of farm what you can, get ready for this next type of event, next fight that's going to happen here within the next few minutes or so.
It's really important for Kins of Alec that we get this 3rd item for Hub. I imagine this is going to be an LDR, but could see a Hex Optics. Again, this item got buffed. Instead of having max range damage, it's 9% at max range of 500, which every single AD carry is above 500. I don't know why we decided to give this item even more better stats, even if they did take down the percentage damage. Insanity gets caught again. There's nothing for them to do. They're going for Galio. They don't even have enough damage for the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, good on good on regular Louis here to bait in the
Oh.
orange so that it can rotate here quickly enough. And Galio, yeah, no, it's with how far behind KOA is right now, it's gonna be hard pressed to get that pick, having to commit a lot of resources to actually get this. But no, regular Moon already on the move to come in and cut off Chiv here to try and at least stabilize a lot of that loss of gold there. And yeah, it is a 1-for-1, but at the end of the day, it's still SFU who's coming out on the top, and they're just gonna rotate the Baron on top of that.
We killed Galio, and where was Hub? Hub was in super. This guy was at SFU. We're playing on UBC terms here. This is supposed to be Metro. We're playing all the way in I don't know, Chilliwack. Like, this guy's actually in the opposite side of the country, and we're not able to do anything here. So Hub farms another mid wave. We took forever. Remember, this all started with Galio playing around their tier 1 and Ornn getting killed. They moved all the way over. Regular Moo TP'd, kills Chiv, opens up a Baron here, and guess what? We have Dragon in a minute 30. All of these waves that currently Kids of Alex are pushing are gonna get pushed out, and then you're gonna have no waves of priority. You're gonna lose gold. So I kind of want to see them not play for this Dragon. It is clear you're not gonna win this fight, especially now with Yunara hitting Infinity Edge.
Yeah, it's very much a losing game right now. There's just so much that needs to get fixed here that you had to be hard pressed and very cognizant as to a lot of the happenings right now to try and make up for some of this lost ground. Dragon here is a fight that I don't think they should take. It really only like a flip to maybe steal it, but even then I don't think a fight to try and steal it is worth it either. So it's very much farm what you can, play safe, and wait for more of your items to come online.
I'm just pressing tab and I'm looking at enemy jungle be level 16. That's 3 points in Cyclone. I'm not playing, guys. Like, I'm not walking in. I'm having my mid laner and my support walk into jungle with me so that I'm allowed to farm my camps if I'm Chiv. Want to also remind everybody that Chiv and Flo previously on UBC's Collegiate League of Legends roster. For Chiv, he has stated he has never lost to SFU once. And if we're going to start that streak, you know, it'd be a sad way to kind of end out on a tournament like that as a former alum. But I think that with how this game is going, we had a lot of expectations for them to be able to deliver. Good flash from Flo, keeps his life, but and no summoner spell coming in.
Yeah, that was a very good play for SFU there. Because that was your worst case scenario there. You don't get the kill, you commit some resources, some time, and you just get the flash as worst case scenario. The best case scenario there is you get the pick off of the Orianna, off of Flo, and get the tower on top of that, and then rotate the Dragon. But you know, that's not how things panned out there. But it looks like they're still looking to try and eye for that dive on the bot side tower here. Shiv is hanging around, maybe sort of having that secondary sense of thinking that they're going to be coming here any moment here, but White Knight just hanging in the shadows. I don't know if they have vision on this just yet, as Gragas does welcome to get the tower and at least the demolish, not demolish, the crystal proc, but it looks like they're just going to back off and just let it be.
I'm kind of sad that we got rid of the old demolish. This demolish is significantly better. I won't lie. It makes me feel so much better to see this demolish, because old demolish was the sound effect was good. The application of it felt a lot harder, especially with having to kind of wait. It's similar to the Heartsteel proc, but Heartsteel proc is one of the best in the game of all time.
I'm so glad you did mention that, because I love old demolish, and I recognize that this new demolish is better, like, across the board. Nothing hits the same as that old demolish proc, and I to this day I'm talking as if it's like years long gone, right? But to this day I still forever mourn the old demolish loss.
Well, Dark, we are in a pretty boring state because there's not many ways for this SFU Black team to really play. There's not an objective that's going to be able to be forced for at least 2 minutes. A lot of the waves and the turrets are pretty far deep onto KOA's side of the map, and for all intents and purposes, they have a kind of a mid-range composition. A lot of when I look at Gragas, he kind of plays in that range that isn't necessarily melee, but with the access that he has thanks to his Q and his ultimate, he can kind of play a little bit further up than maybe some folks expect. So they kind of require fights to happen for them to look for it. And right now, a problem that we're seeing for KOA is that they don't have a strong enough side laner. Typically, you'd have maybe someone that's able to protect an Orianna, or even let Ornn be on a side lane by himself. But with how the game has gone, especially with how strong this Gragas is, who are you sending to match? You can just play through mid lanes and then just keep going to sides. They're going to kill Corvus here, maybe, but
yeah,
you're losing your base.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is good for Corvus at the very least. Like, unfortunately, you most likely will go down here, but you do pull a lot of that pressure for the bot side on the other side of the map to try and siege it. But it looks like they didn't want to try and hard commit too much, give up too much potential gold there. And do opt to instead back up and just keep on farming. And yeah, right now the state of the game is just. I think either side knows that a gauge is going to be hard because on one hand, KOA is playing probably a bit more safer than they normally would, not trying to overextend because they know any overextension at this point will most likely lead to just one or two picks, right? But also on the side of SFU Black, you can't exactly like two-man dive a tower because at this point there's not a lot of gold to be earned off of that, and a lot of momentum to be earned off of that. So what's the point of doing that? So it's very much of a stalemate until this dragon comes up here in the next minute and a half, or Baron in the next 30 seconds.
This is going to be Ocean Soul here for SFU Black. If they can grab this, it almost assuredly kind of wins them the game. We talked about that Priscilla on this Sona did go for the Echoes of Helia, so that a lot. Oh, didn't go for Diadem. Actually went for. Why do we have this item on? So I'm gonna ask them. I'm getting tech on this. I don't know why we have that claw item for essentially what is a Lich Bane, and then we went for Sarah. So. Maybe this is just better. I mean, maybe the damage there with Ekka. Okay, so Bloodsong, yeah. It's bonus damage on hit, and then you deal increased dare. They take increased damage afterwards. This is an incredibly fast Baron coming through, and Shiv is just getting stopped by regular move.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Zinj out here,
are we flipping?
What could you do here? It's gonna look like it's
gonna
be a close call though, as they're looking to try and go in and steal the Baron, and that they do. But are they gonna be able to leave off with their lives? That's the bigger question here. Shiv goes in on the deep end, does not find a pick here, and now regular move moving on to the Ornn here to see if they can cut them off. But no, they're just gonna cut their losses right there, and choose to back up. Unfortunately, not getting Baron, which I think at this stage of the game, if you're KOA, that's the kind of thing you need to do to try and start restabilizing things.
I'm sorry, Dark. I completely disagree because look at the mini map.
Yeah.
We've got Ocean Soul spawning now.
Yeah.
And Shiv is dead for 25 seconds. You just get Soul for free. I think Baron, the stats that it give you aren't very good for team fighting. You get 750 gold globally between you, so they nerf the amount of gold you're even getting from this objective. And now, SFU Black basically just have a free amount of regeneration. They have triple Ocean Drake plus Ocean Soul. They're never running out of health or mana in these fights, and it was already difficult enough. We already saw and have talked about that KOA do not have the damage to really match their opponents, and now this basically puts them entirely out of reach for what is most team fights for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it buck. When I was so locked in on that Baron flip there that I completely forgot Dragon was up at that point, which completely disregards everything I had just said at that point. But yeah, it was a good attempt here to try and at least restabilize things. But part of me also says that maybe KOA also forgot that Soul was going to be coming up soon, which kind of defeats the purpose of this entire play, even though on paper it should have been something on their end, especially, you do unfortunately lose your jungler and escape with your 4 other players, but you just lose Soul at that and in return from that. So it's very much like
we saw in the replay there that just having Corvus and regular Moo stand in what was essentially the red side river entrance going into the into that part of the map essentially cut off everybody else. Aphelios can't walk forward, Orianna can't walk forward. Is a bit of good coordination. We saw that Flo used his shockwave alongside Shiv going in to hopefully secure the smite steal. So they'll have Baron, but right now the only person who's on side lanes is Insanity, who is 2 levels down versus the Gragas thanks to the top side matchup. Hub is dying in mid!
Oh, it was a close call there. Hub narrowly escaping with their lives there and being able to heal so much off of that with the red gun. But I don't think there's going to be much of anything else they can do off that. Unfortunately, being forced to use ults there to stay alive. And now it looks like there's going to be a bit of a fight here in red jungle if SFU really wants it. But once again, it looks like they're just playing the safe out. They don't need to fight if they don't have to. And so they're looking to just get back and just keep things going in their favor. White Knight, though, sort of caught out. Shiv engages off of them. This could be a huge pick here if they can truly convert off this. We do see the remainder of their team coming in. Hub potentially get the pick here, but no. Daniel comes in, saves it. Shane is now taunted. They can't get the pick there. He already gets Angel.
Oh my god!
Online. I wasn't even paying attention to that, and this fight got flipped into SFQ favor.
Oh my god!
Comes in, knocks it on. 1 down, 2 down, 2 for 1
it.
special. And I do agree with that, Alp. I do believe this is gonna be it for them.
I mean, no flash on Hub. Insanity's trying to do something here, but he doesn't have the ultimate. He's essentially just dead at this point. They'll have a mid-wave to play through. 40-second death timers for everybody. Maybe if Alec had that polymorph, remember that was going to be the big spell to see them take down regular Moose, stop this Gragas from doing anything. Just slams right into the back line. They didn't end up killing Yunara. It took so long thanks to this triple Ocean Dragon, Ocean Soul. White Knight finally goes down with the GA, but it's just not enough at this point. Another minion wave, and with long enough death timers, it looks like the first game here of this best of 3 going over to SFU Black.
Yeah, I mean, what a first game, because the early on of this game, in the beginning early lanes of this game, wasn't really looking that well for SFU Black. As we remember, there was 3 losing lanes, and KOA was the ones who were KOA were certainly in the lead there, but I forget which gank it was specifically. I think it was the gank the fight in top jungle, I believe, where they managed to get that double kill, and managed to actually start using that to convert that into the next double kill in bot lane. And I think at that point things just kind of spiraled after that.
It's tough because we saw that a lot of the lanes ended up being good for Kins of Alec, but top lane became a little bit more of a problem. We saw multiple fights where regular Moo almost dies in the 1v1 and then lives. Insanity is then down some resources, and especially without that ultimate, it is really tough for Ornn to push Gragas out in after a couple of recalls. Once he gets his items, Gragas essentially just becomes a poke champion and can really drain tank versus this Ornn, which is usually not something we get to see very often. And in general, I think that there were a couple of key decisions that we saw were pretty big mistakes, like when we went for Grubs after that mid play. Yeah, that ended up getting a massive amount of gold and a lot of kills going over to this Wukong. And then we didn't really make a good enough attempt at like smashing the bottom lane. Yes, Hub had natural CS advantages, but I think if you just send one gank early on to this bottom lane, pre-level 6 for the Yunara and Sona, they basically don't get to play the game either. So a lot of, I think, mistakes that were almost, in my mind, prompted by differences in what the mid-jungles were able to accomplish in this game.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see just the lead that KOA managed to have on the early game, just sort of kind of be nullified after mistake after mistake, mistake after mistake after mistake. And I mean, it's not to completely put them down just yet. You know, we are in a best of 3, so there is this next game here to try and sort of make better on a lot of these decisions, right? But it was very much just an unfortunate series of events to occur throughout the majority of the game after that early laning phase.
We're gonna kick it to a break here, folks, as we get ready for our game number 2 of this grand finals. Don't go anywhere, as we'll be back with SFU Black versus the Kins of Alec. Welcome back, everybody. We are still here for the Novus Cup. This is our grand finals. Is a best of 3 between two of the top teams playing here at the Metro Vancouver local level. Still Alk, still Dark. We had a very dominant game here for Simon Fraser University. We came out of the draft saying that Kins of Alec looked really, really strong, but they just weren't able to really commit after a couple of early plays that went wrong.
Yeah, it was a very interesting thing, I think, to see how that lead just kind of sort of spiraled as the game went on. But I do hope that this second game here from then, they find their footing a bit better and they try and right a lot of the wrongs that they made, because on paper they were doing a lot right. They use their lane, their just natural advantages in lane to get ahead and just keep that lead as best they can. It was just unfortunate mistakes from either shot calling or just bad engagements at the wrong times that kind of was their ultimate undoing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You're right. Those, I feel like, at least in my opinion, those seem like fixes that you can fix, things you can fix rather easily with some conversations, but you have a second opportunity here to try and employ some of that.
So it's interesting, SFU Black, because they won the last game, Kins of Alec elect to go for blue side. They go for first pick. They get a Azir, strong enough laner there. But I'm surprised that SFU Black are the ones that are banning Corki. Because again, in their games that they played to get to this point, both games were Corki Nami. And then, we kind of threw in random champions afterwards for the other lanes. But I'm surprised that they're the ones that are getting rid of this. It seems like their response is still going for what I still imagine is the best mid laner on the patch currently, at least professionally speaking, in Orianna. And now you have decent lockdown with a Nautilus, but I think a little bit less mega consistent damage. You do have an Ezreal and a Azir, so just building out a front line for them is typically going to be good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's very interesting to see, like, the Orianna does come back here, and now in the hands of SFU Black, I'm eager to see exactly if this Orianna, how different this Orianna was going to be than in the hands of Kin of Alec. But no, Azir, Nautilus, there's a lot of, not necessarily a lot of CC potential. I don't think a lot of is the right word, but there's a lot of things you can do to try and kick off a lot of these engagements and try and get a good team fight going in your favor.
So what dive buddy are we pairing with Orianna? We've seen tons of Nocturne, globally speaking. Vi's okay. It definitely gives you the lockdown that you would want when you're playing against Azir. Something that kind of are mentioning there with the range of Azir is that it's super hard to get on him, especially if you don't have targeted CC or crowd control. So I like to see that. Again, you give that alongside a Lulu. I think that with that kind of front line and the bruiser, the way that Vi likes to play, it makes her just really tough to take down. Usually is a champion that goes in and then never kind of comes back out of fights. We're seeing a Kennen being hovered here for Kins of Alec. Came out as, I think, one of the strongest champions on the start of the season on 26-1. Gunblade got added to the game. There was, I think, people who were just looking at specifically the lane leads that you get from top lane. And that has kind of been the shift, I think, the biggest shift for top lane is that the matchup that you have in there is so important. Just being able to either get solo kills, prevent your enemy laner from getting good leads early, and specifically trying to trigger that quest faster is a very big change for him. So he came out as one of the biggest winners coming into the new season. And this seems like a very aggressive team composition from Kins of Alec, now with an Lee Sin and a Kennen.
Yeah, to me, seeing KOA's champion lineup here, it screams to me that they just want to go all in and all at once and just try and make sure they can make those explosive fights here. But I'm looking on the other side. I do see the Kled is being considered right now. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we see Kled too much.
Kled's come back a little bit, but no, definitely a champion that doesn't exist, at least professionally, at a much higher level. It is something that SFU Black have played already. They played a game of it yesterday versus Flex Haja, their first match. No, it would have been their semifinals match in top 4. They played the Kled. Obviously, they did end up winning that game. They played it into Garen, funnily enough, but again, another Azir on the opposite side. So this SFU Black team, they are just running at you. There's not much to do afterwards. We are sending an Orianna. We're going to send a Shockwave alongside it. Maybe there's a Kled as well. We want to walk forward towards this team. And Kins of Alec, I think it's really important that Azir and Ezreal play range. They need to just whittle away at their opponents. I do not want to see an Azir flash shuffle forward and push all of their teammates into them. It's good for Kennen, but I think that Kennen and Lee Sin should be the closers of fights. They should be the ones that are knocking down all of the pins that Ezreal and Azir are setting up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, as well on top of that, Nautilus can help to make sure that you can provide some of that range and some of that protection for to separate the front line and the back line. You know, especially if you want the Lee Sin and the get the Kennen as your closers. But it's I generally am very, very much interested in to see exactly how SFU Black wants to play out their comp. I don't really get to see a comp like this a lot, so having just a lot of these like go in across the board, anyways, a lot of these like champions that just want to go in and just be like, I want you out of here, right?
For SFU again, it's you have a decent lane in bottom lane. I think that because Nautilus ends up losing versus Lulu, and you have double ranged, usually it's going to be a lot easier. It depends on if Hub is able to land a lot of damage early in the level 1 trades, but you also don't do very well in topside. Like Kennen doesn't have a lot of resistances. Ever since they moved the free resistances that are on his E to his ultimate, he's lost a little bit of his lane prowess, and especially until he finishes Gunblade, he doesn't have like the solo kill threat even with his ultimate versus a Kled who can basically has 1.5 health bars at all times thanks to his passive. It's tough for me to imagine Kins of Alec, who are consistently playing scaling, to suddenly try to flip this game, and hopefully that's what Lee Sin's gonna do. Lee Sin is kind of the curveball here in this draft. He needs to be in their faces. I think he needs to try to blow flash early on, whether it's in mid or in one of these solo lanes. Otherwise, again, I'm always going to prefer what SFU have, which is just clear engage, strong team fighting, and I think good ways of playing side lanes, which is something that Kins of Alec were really, really weak on in game number 1.
Yeah, side lanes is probably more important now than it was in the last game, most likely. But it's, I'm as we're waiting here, I'm kind of mulling over a lot of what's happened from the previous game, and I do hope that at the very least Kins Alec can try and use some of their. Well, they're not necessarily have a lot of that adventure learn, as you mentioned, Nautilus being in a bit of a more rougher matchup against Yunara and Lulu this time around, right? But it's definitely a question of can this Lee Sin actually leverage a lot of his strength, a lot of his prowess to try and flip on these early fights? Because I think, especially with the bot lane, with Nautilus Ezreal not having the advantage, it's going to be hard pickings to try and figure out exactly who it is you want to try and prioritize. Because you do have Kennen, who should maybe be even with Kled, but I'm not sure if Lee Sin also wants to dive at Kled either.
Why not? Let's just try to flip the game, guys, because this game's not getting much better for us. I don't know. I'm looking at this and I want to see something, because I think the lane went well for most of Kins of Alec, and then we got 2 objectives and it just kind of fell apart. I know talking with Alec that originally they were actually going for a different support player in general, but they actually ended up he couldn't make it, so they had to get someone else to sub. They were actually going to have him in top lane, so Insanity coming in as kind of a super sub, a last minute sub apparently, is also Chid's friend. So as Alec has said, apparently he is just the weak side warrior. Did not do too much in that last game on the Horn, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, subs happen, you know, and I guess part of that might explain some of the weaker showings here, and who knows, maybe this game will be different, right, as we are getting ready here in just a few more moments, another minute or so. But yeah, it's to me, I don't know if it's just me, but to me, this all around from both sides just really speaks of like just a kind of like unorthodox comp, and I'm like still trying to like piece everything together in my mind to see exactly how a lot of these fights are going to go.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested. Again, this is a best of 3, so if SFU just win this, that's $700 split 5 ways. You've got yourself a quick bag. So it feels pretty good there. You didn't have to play too many games. You basically played 4 games for Oh, I'm not doing math right now. Oh, I'll just pull up the calculator. We got some time before this game starts anyway. So 700 divided by 5. Okay, so 140 split if we're just doing an even split between all of them. Over 4 games, you got paid $35 a game. That's more than us.
I mean, if a lot of these games are like less than an hour, you're making more than 35 an hour. If you really want to put it, so that I think that's a number like a lot of people can live with.
I think a lot of people will be really happy with a above 30 an hour rate. Okay, we're doing Novus is doing God's work here when it comes to increasing the minimum wage for a day job.
Oh man, can you imagine 30 above a wage? That would be money, making money there. But no, now finally into the second game, we're going to be seeing exactly if KOA can try and instead keep their early on advantage in favor of them. Corvus, though, knows exactly how they want to play this out. Already looking to try and zone off flow right out the gate.
Corvus, if you can hear me from beyond the veil, please go Ludens this game. There are no tanks on the enemy side. It's just the Nautilus, and please, I'm begging you, because if you land a shockwave, now here's the tech. Ludens into Sork Pen Boots, and this champion does 1,000,000 damage. Here's the level 1 trade I was talking about, though. Even with the range advantage that Yunara and Lulu have, if you can just get all of this early, especially press the attack versus lethal tempo, you can deal some pretty good damage. And Alec on this Nautilus has elected to go for the Aftershock. So just wants that upfront tankiness that is allowed from him. That kind of maybe is supposed to substitute for what we typically see, which is the Unsealed Spellbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, they're doing a good job to try to zone off the CS as best as they can early on. Already at level 2 means that they can at least establish some vision, try and make sure that this wave either bounces back in their favor or just keeps pushing to try and collect the play early on. And it's still relatively quiet moving across the board. I don't think there's exactly a gank angle from either side. Vi is clearing towards bot side, so I think KOA definitely wants to try and see if they can make this wave balance sooner rather than later, but it's still pretty even stay across the board.
Respect to Insanity for having his support team captain tell me he's weak side warrior, and then second game into this best of 3, we have Lee Sin pathing top, and we have Electrocute Ignite Kennen here versus Kled. I think that is insanely goated from him. He's just decided like, hey, let's just try to win the 1v1. Let's have my Lee Sin gank me on level 3 timer and just completely blow up this Kled and hopefully make Kennen a big problem, because Kennen is strong, yes, but we didn't even talk about the fact that there's a Lulu in this game on the enemy team. He can literally go flash in, get polymorphed, and dies instantly. So that'll be something we'll also be looking to watch for, because that essentially cuts out a large portion of the damage that this team was looking at.
Yeah, Lulu being able to polymorph someone just to make sure that they can't do anything in the middle of a fight is so crucial here. But we do see White Knight going in for a potential gank here. They are backing, and the bot lane with no minions, they're looking to try and see if they can stop these backs. Ezreal does come out though, but the Nautilus is still stuck in lane. But I don't think, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure if the Vi wanted to gank this already, she would have ganked it. But no, it looks like they're just gonna opt to reset instead.
There's a little dinner bell that started ringing in White Knight's head. He's like, oh, my Krugs are respawning. I must go back topside. I must continue the second full clear. So he's going to continue to do that. Remember, we talked about it earlier, but jungle camps are super important. And if you're not really able to generate a kill or an assist early or a big enough lead for one of your lanes, just go back to farming. I know full clear is boring, but it's really, really strong, especially again with how fast the game has been made, thanks to the inflation of gold that's been put into this season thanks to Riot. So Wave's pushing away from Insanity, second health bar here. Should just be able to get himself a recall, but so far we haven't also seen anything from this Lee Sin, which I think is a little disappointing.
Mm-hmm. I know. I mean, we talked about it already, but it's definitely the choice of if there really isn't a necessarily good enough angle to gank here, you're just better off just clearing, because with how fast these camps spawn now, missing a gank, especially if the other enemy jungler comes in to help assist and maybe even gets a flip there, it's just gonna be absolutely devastating. So it's boring, yes, but I think it is actually probably the safer play here, just to keep on farming, to try and keep yourself consistently on par with the rest of the game.
A second game where Scuttle spawns on top side, so not going to see too much action around this dragon. Now, I want to see Lee Sin walk in mid. Brother, no. Other side. We're going to the other lane here. We're not diving Kled, guys. We have level 6 Azir, so we can at least force Corvus's flash. Oh, no.
Sidestep, though, is stunned, locked down for just a moment, but we do have the second health bar going down. Regular move, just gonna utilize that fun mechanic and just be able to walk away without and too much in their favor. And of course, SFU does go in for a counter gank and actually gets the pick, which I think is very good for them in order to try and establish early on lead.
Completely on vision. Insanity also didn't hit level 6. I feel like if you just wait for him to either get the ultimate so that he can have the Slicing Maelstrom so we can kill this Kled, it's better. But now we've invested a lot of time from Lee Sin on the top side of the map. He will get the Scuttle. Here's the play on mid I wanted to see. Ah!
Oh, flash is used to stay, and they do! Flow just narrowly getting away with their life there, but unfortunately Dragon has been taken. Flashes and ultimates has been used on both sides for the mid laners anyways, and it's hard to say exactly which one was better. I think I think on with everything going on, I think that was a fairly even trade with how things ended up.
Generally, I'm going to say this is an advantage to SFU Black. Just, they're supposed to be like this strong team fighting team that's going to be really good as the game continues to go on. I think that their team spikes incredibly hard on 2 items. And, like, it took a lot. It took a long time for us to make this play. While this is happening, White Knight got a kill in bottom lane. He got his team the Dragon. And now we've gotten the flash away from Kennen. This is a really, really expensive summoner spell to not have, especially because we've taken Rocket Belt out of the equation for this champ. See another play on the Corvus. A great dodge, and he doesn't even have flash. Like, how are you supposed to... You're supposed to punish this Orianna for not having a summoner spell when you have level 6 with Azir, but we have not seen too many great plays coming in from the mid jungle, who is supposed to be this UBC alum playing on their collegiate team. Where is the synergy, guys? I'm not seeing it.
It still might be just getting warmed up there. There still is plenty of game to try and make those big plays really happen here. But once again, just like the last game we saw already, this has just been a fairly slow and steady start. There were a few attempts to make a play or two, but for the most part, everyone's just been opting for the more consistent, for the more safe route to just get the goal they need to get their first item online, maybe contest an objective or two, but it's a slow and steady race here.
So looking at the rest of this, I know I'm kind of bagging on KOA at the time, but just looking at what is available for them, they do have a wave pushing in top side, so this could be their angle to go for either another play on mid and then move into the grubs, or just start the grubs first. Talking about side lane, I do think that when you have an Azir, you want to try to get him as much resources.
That is an engagement there with the ult from Azir, and that is exactly how you wanted to play that out. Beautiful, clean. Well, maybe not this entirely clean, but it gets the job done. You do collect some plates. You do start on grubs while Vi is still eyeing on the bot side. Maybe she could gank down there and get a 1-for-1 trade at the very least, but no, it looks like she just opt to, once again, back.
This is great. This is exactly what I want to see. Not only do we get, sadly not kills, but an assist, and you get at least a turret plate in mid. Great for Azir. Just get him power scaling incredibly fast. Let him get his first 2 items quickly here in this game, whether that's with the kills or with just the turret plates. And now you have grubs. This does give this team some legs to stand on when it comes to playing on side lanes. Kennen is not going to be as strong versus Kled later on just because of the amount of HP that this Kled will have, but letting Azir play on side lanes and specifically trying to shadow him on plays, I think is going to be a way for them to be able to take control or even accelerate themselves here. Insanity, he's just dead. All right, so...
I mean, using 2 ultimates there, I'm not sure what more you could do to try and get out of that. You could not, yeah. And Flash was down. It was just an unfortunate circumstance there for the cannon, and a 1 kill going in Vi's pocket there, which does neutralize once again some of that advantage that was bought in mid lane here, but it's still genuinely too early to see exactly how things are being truly fanning out here.
I think the top lane's kind of over at this point. With where he is, like, Insanity doesn't have a big enough lead to warrant him going for the Ignite. And again, Lulu is going to be a massive thorn in his side this game. So unless we see some more action, I do think that this Kennen is going to be fairly useless here. Just not having Flash, now with no Maelstrom 45 seconds before the Herald spawns, I do think, or before the Dragon spawns, I do think is a little bit problematic. He's going to continue to be stuck on side lanes. Corvus, again, no Flash yet.
Can they secure the kill? They can secure the kill. This time this time needing Azir's ult, only needing Azir's ult, as now we see Vi. Look to see if they can maybe stop those backs this time. I think they're too far for that though. We're back again in top lane as regular move coming in on Insanity here. Can they get the solo kill? I don't think so, as there's just too much stunt for regular move by himself right now at this point in the game to try and hard commit to that.
I'm just looking at mid lane right now. Like, Flo, while he doesn't again get that kill, you got 2 plates in mid, and you finish your quest now. So I think that this Azir is in prime condition to play again. I think so far that this series has showcased the power and influence of mid jungle 2v2s being really, really key. White Knight has not at all touched this mid lane matchup so far, and that was a great timer to punish Corvus not having his flash. That's 2 ganks now where, because she didn't have the summoner spell, Orianna got punished.
And once again, another gank to Kennen here as they use their ult. Not going to be having the opportunity to be able to use Flash. It was just only a few seconds away from being up at that point. I think that's a very good punisher to keep that cannon down. And yeah, as the game goes on at this point, it is very clear that this cannon won't be able to do much of anything. Using the Lee Sin R to push Course out away from the safety of the tower. And that was a good conversion there.
Wow, Orianna is 0-4 now. This is very dangerous. Having the ultimates come out, Crimsonating finds a single auto there, so he's able to finalize this, but look what's happening in the river. Chiv and Flo are on their way.
Yes, Chiv coming in from the shadows once again to try and clean up this Yunara before they can take the life of the Ezreal, narrowly avoiding with their lives there, and now looking to try and turn to Priscilla, who is forced to use Flash to get out of the way. But no, the Azir R is up once again. The Flash is gone, and that is another kill to Azir, who's gonna be at an absolute demon at this rate with how this game's going.
And getting another plate for themselves. Finally, we get kills for Azir, who already finished the Nashor's Tooth, already has these upgraded Sork Pen boots, and is just getting completely fed. 3 grubs as well. He's level 11 at 13 minutes, and he's going to be almost entirely done with his second item coming up soon. I mean, Corvus now just trying to get away. He's going to use that phase rush, but this damage from Hub.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, he lives. Thank God. That would have been bad if my Orianna is 0-5 going into this fight. The only thing that I can say is good here for SFU is there's no dragon being taken right now. We're going to even stop Azir from this recall. I don't think this is going to turn into a kill. Just means that he's not going to be out on the map any quicker. Also probably means that, at least for SFU, they can be the ones on this dragon. You currently see that Hub and Alec are currently sitting in river, but this is really dangerous because Vi can be in this area and back up the Yunara, and Lulu's also on her way.
Yeah, no, it looks like both of these 2 teams wants to try and contest this second dragon here, just sort of posturing, seeing exactly if they can clear the vision, if they can get the vision, do what I like to call their chores before trying to commit to the dragon here. But a good hook onto Priscilla and locks down that Lulu, gets 1 pick there, turning on the Vi now, who is looking to try if they can secure the pick on Ezreal, opting to go onto the Nautilus instead, and picks up that second pick here. Ezreal R is used, but doesn't necessarily clean up too much or anything. And now Vi, 2 chunk down, might not be able to take the dragon right now, as Flo is still hanging around, slowly looking, slowly sharking to see exactly if they can get this next engagement in their favor.
Chiv can look for a steal. There's a ward in the pits. We can see a ward hop into Sonic Wave. That's kind of their only play to get in. It doesn't seem like KOA want to give up this, or sorry, go for this objective right now. 2 dragons at 15 minutes isn't a big problem, but it's talking about the scaling. It's talking about whether or not that's going to be a big enough influence here in this one. Also, giving over that kill from Alec is not bad, but definitely slows things down. We were talking about this mid-jungle being a really big priority for them, and so far, really just using this time, I think, from the Kittens to try to get Insanity back into this game, who right now is really, really struggling. Does finally have his teleport thanks to the top lane quest, and there will be a Herald being started here by the side of the Kittens, so maybe they'll try to use this to continue to expound on the gold lead.
Yeah, I think this Rip Herald is gonna go a bit is gonna go uncontested right now, as it doesn't look like anyone from the other side has the vision nor the will to try and contest it. And I think they're in a position where they don't necessarily want to try and contest as well. You know, you do have Elysian and Azir who are very much fed right now, can absolutely shift a lot of these some more skirmishy team fights here. So it looks like they're just opting just to once again be consistent, pick up whatever gold, whatever experience that you can from your other sources, and try and see if you can get a cheeky pick here and there on anyone who might be overextending from the other side.
All right, what else do we have? Ooh, they might be looking for a bit of a deep play here. It's only going to be Chiv, who isn't spotted quite yet. And Flo, if he overextends, could be punished. I don't really want to see him walk forward. There's really no reason for Azir to walk forward in a 1v2. You don't see where Vi is, and your bot lane is hitting the mid turret right now. This is a winning scenario if you just pull back.
Oh no, but Flo unfortunately overstepping just a little bit, and with the CC from both the Lulu and the Vi, it's gonna knock them down, collecting that shutdown, and be able to take this bottom tier 1 turret. But over on the mid lane here, getting tossed around, Corvus goes down as KOA picks up the tier 2 mid turret.
And they could actually go for more. I mean, there's still turret plates on this inhibitor turret, so not going to exactly be the play that they were looking for. As soon as Flo puts that soldier that far up, it means that he cannot go for it. Okay, so Alec is dead. We're just going to let the Nautilus die at this point. Kled is going to run right past him. They will still take this Nautilus down. There's no objective to play for. I will say I still like this coming in for KOA. The fact that they were able to, at the very least, they lost their shutdown on mid, but they were able to grab the turret and also make a pick happen there. So it's a trade that goes even for them. It's just going to be whether or not either of these teams will be able to commit towards the dragon that's spawning in too. Because while it isn't the soul, I think being on soul point for the rest of the game is really, really troublesome. And especially as the Kittens, you're about to hit a massive spike on 2 items. We need to see them kind of leverage that fact.
Yeah, no, with Dragon, with a potential soul point Dragon for SFU right now. Well, not as a soul point, but the last Dragon they need to get soul point. That's a lot of pressure. They can absolutely leverage and try and create a lot of pressure to some of the side lanes or some of these fights in order to get some momentum back in their favor here. But it looks like KOA is going to start invading the enemy jungle here to try and assert their dominance, start taking away some of the resources from SFU, getting the Gromp in the process and escaping without much contention as well. That's I think is just once again just extending whatever lead they can by just taking more and more resources in their favor.
Is this Cosmic Drive being completed? I know Azir's sitting in base right now. You also have Muramana done for Hub. Come on, let's take the item. There we go. Oh, we're going for Dusk and Dawn. Okay, we've been seeing this pop up a lot more. Being able to apply double on hits from both the Nashor's Tooth and your soldiers is nice. I'm sure also the 300 HP that's attached to this item is also not all that bad. So it's going to be a pretty massive spike coming on through. It's not the biggest like a Shadow Flame would be usually, but still, I mean, when you're looking at a 2-item core completed for most of the members. Oh, Hub, we're too far up on mid?
But getting the hop over the wall to save their lives. Now Vi doesn't have the ultimate
Oh,
here. There's a bit of scramble on both sides. Regular Moo does get a pick off the Lee San, and now looking to try and get this Ezreal out of the game as we see SFU getting back and forth picks. KOA looking to stand as best they can to get some trades in return, but it is at the end of the day, it's SFU who still comes out on top.
I mean, the damage was just really well applied there from SFU. They put all of their DPS into trying to force out Hub, no flash, no barrier, and by the time Flow gets in, the fight is essentially over and too far split. Insanity is using his Slicing Maelstrom to stun up Priscilla on the Lulu. Very confusing target selection, and a great shockwave. Despite all of the disadvantages that have been thrown at Corvus's way, that shockwave locks down the damage 2v2 of this Azir and Lee Sin. So now we get the Dragon being started and taken here by SFU Black. Simon Fraser University now on Soul Point after an amazing early game start coming in for Kins of Valor.
Yeah, once again a replay, but a shutdown with the Ezreal ultimate means that that's going to be a lot of presence, a lot of power gone here for this next upcoming team fight, and it's going to be a bit of a scramble here as they're looking to try and stop this Baron pool. They do stop the Baron pool at the very least, but now the question is, can they escape with their lives? Kled being slowly chunked out here. Getting kicked over the wall as well, but the Lulu comes in clutch with their ultimate, and now can SFU live long enough to flip this fight back in their favor?
Can they get more though? Because like Baron is up, they can actually do Baron. They're a little low, but if White Knight really wants to send it, maybe that's something that they could go for. Crimsonating is also fairly strong. Instead, they're not going to be able to start this objective up. It was a good pick, but still, on Soul Point and with a lead, you have stronger side lanes at the moment as long as Azir's not there. So despite everything, despite all of the advantages, despite them getting so much gold and focusing all of their resources early on into killing Corvus, top side's also been a big problem for them as Insanity's now going to die. Like, we've done nothing to help this Kennen, and the times that we have gotten nothing done for us. So this Kled is becoming an issue very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, as Kennen, like, what more can you do, right? It's like, it's very clear that the SFU's whole plan right now is just to make sure that this Kennen can't get online in any way, shape, or form. And at this point in the game, I think even if they do manage to get enough gold, and buy enough items on their side, I think it's going to be a little bit too late because of how far ahead everyone else is at this point of the game here. And now with Baron still up, vision all across topside river here, it looks like these players are looking to try and see exactly what their next sources of income is going to be, as we do see SFU starting to recall to most likely get their next big purchase in.
Well, thankfully for them, their next source of income, regardless, will be at least 300 Canadian. So they will be getting paid. So both teams here in the grand finals get to split the prize pool, which I think is really cool. Obviously, a larger chunk going over to the winning team, but all right, we've got an even game state. Who would have thought 0-5 Orianna would be at an even point in the game here versus their opponents? Yes, down items, and obviously still gold here, but the efficacy of just having a shockwave turns out to be more than enough to make up for that. And we can see a lot of that gold lead right now coming from the top lane, at least from the side of SFU. This Kled is super dangerous here in this game, and the 1.5 health bar, or the 2.5 health bars that he does have access to, is kind of a big reason why we're going to see this champion be so problematic here, and the stickiness that this champ has on top of champions. So, all right. It turns out that Dark has decided that my joke about how much gold or how much money these teams will be making has completely wiped them out. So we'll see whether or not they'll rejoin. Oh, Dark? Okay. Well, maybe you should get Novus. Have you thought about that? All right. Apparently Dark's internet has died, and look, I'm trying to make the plugs happen as much as possible here, guys. We do have dragons spawning in a minute. This kind of feels like the last big fight of the game. If we can see Kittens of Alec win, depending on the state of the game afterwards, it should hold them off for another couple of minutes. But even with that happening, every 5 minutes is going to be a threat for them, as we now start to see all of this vision get placed down. We're going to see some recalls coming in. It is going to be up to SFU to retake the area and also get Corvus in a good position to match once we get back in. Yep, Darky, I'm sorry. They cannot hear us if we're not on the Video Ninja. And I that one I can't leak. I was talking about earlier that we should try to get a heat map of where all the players are, but I think personal data is a little bit more private. I can't let go of the Video Ninja. We're seeing an engage on mid now. Regular Move's going to walk forward. A double shockwave onto both Alec and this Azir, but a shock... I mean, the Slicing Maelstrom stuns up enough, but look at this damage from Crimsonating. This Yunara is ripping them apart. Regular Move on this Kled dashes forward. One more auto attack with the Violent Tendencies is not enough. A triple kill here for Flow, and now a Dragon that's going to be going over. The Kittens of Alec have woken up from their cat nap, and maybe are going to be able to save this game in this best of 3 grand finals. Alright, alright, it's okay. Again, Dark, because Dark actually can't respond on the show, I can make up whatever narrative I want, and they can't respond. So, I think he's just gonna have to deal with the fact that maybe Dark just hates me. Okay, guys? This is what every broadcaster has to do when we get to this part, when there's a technical difficulty. We just suddenly make it about us, okay? We make it about ourselves here. So, right now, it is an even game, slightly advantage towards Kitten of Alec, but with how close that fight was, it is still feeling like SFU Black have a lot of cards up their sleeves to be able to have that win. Dark, are you with us? Can I get a check from our producer? Defend yourself. Okay, you're good. I think you're in.
Okay, so a quick rundown as to what was happening. I refreshed the Video Ninja to get everything back online, and I guess it just didn't want to take it, so I had to open up the tab again for some reason. But that's no one wants to hear about those technical difficulties right now. I am here to defend myself. I don't hate you, but I think you are a very great person. I'm bad at this.
Wow, can't even give me a compliment. You know what, Dark? Let me just ask you a question. Who's your internet? Who's your ISP? Who's your
ISP? It is a local ISP. I'm from the States, so.
Okay. See, well, they don't have I know we don't have Novus in the States as a U.S. citizen myself, so I completely get it. Regular Move's gonna have 4 people ganking him, but at the same time, you can see that SFU are just barreling down mid as well.
Oh, but using the ultimate to try and escape, there's too many players, too many path around. I think the Azir might have almost potentially saved them there if it was angled just the wrong way there, but SFU does unfortunately lose out the Kled, meaning that KOA has managed to press their powers here, keep the momentum going, looking to potentially take Baron here. They do have the player advantage in their favor here, and White Knight it looks like they just might give up the Baron here. I mean, what more can you do in this scenario?
Now, Orianna can be here. White Knight has not been spotted. You can see there's only one flank ward that's going to spot Corvus walking in. Shockwave combo could be good. Also, White Knight just sending it forward. It's 5,000 HP, but they have no vision in the pit.
It's going to be a bit of a close call. White Knight opting to instead just turn around, flip the fight. Gets knocked over the wall. Can they get the Baron here? They managed to stall the Baron first thanks to Lee Sin, knocking them over. And now it's up to Priscilla and Corvus and Crimson to escape with the lives to keep that Baron passive active.
How is this possible? 2 games in a row now. The team that starts the Baron loses the objective here. Chiv goes over the wall to try to finish the kill on the White Knight. He just flashes over. No crowd control. Wild growth, incredible there from Priscilla. Ends up keeping their jungler alive. And from there on out, the Baron just gets stolen. It was a one-way trip, but damn, is that some good travel value coming on through for the Vi.
Oh man, I mean, it's the kind of play you make whenever you have to really try and make sure you can to make sure that these losses aren't as big as they could have been. You know, you do lose a few players on your side and give some more gold into the enemy team, right? But you denied the Baron and take it for yourself. So you do have some pushing power here in mid. It looks like they might try and at least potentially threaten this second turret here in the mid lane, but Kled's looking to already rotate here to try and stop that. And it's just I'm still baffled how that fight in the Baron pit took handled out.
That was pretty dangerous. Now, a couple of things to note. We're a minute and a half before this Dragon Soul yet again respawns. Again, no flash is going to be available for White Knight, but essentially everybody else is going to have that summoner spell up and available here. You can see immediately KOA take control of the river. This is exactly the kind of place that they want to be. Let your Azir get set up and prevent Orianna and Vi from really getting their feet planted and making it impossible. Because anywhere that the Orianna ball is somewhere that KOA are really not allowed to stand in at this point. You can see that they've spent a lot of time getting Orianna into side lanes before this moment so that she can try to catch up in the gold department. But these items, they don't lend themselves to dealing damage. This is basically a full ability haste build, so you can try to spam and weave as many spells as possible, but the raw amount of ability power, not really there. It's complete darkness in the river here for the side of SFU Black, and Kled being so strong right now, he can always answer, even without his teleport.
Yeah, now it looks like it's going to be a fight that KOA wants to start in their terms, making sure they can keep SFU out for as long as they can. The Orianna Corvus does get chunked out a little bit and is forced to back here, so now it's going to be a question of does KOA want to try and start this flight now if they know that Corvus is out for a little bit, but no, with the teleport they are able to rejoin once again. And now a regular move, leaving the top lane, looking to try and apply more pressure there with the player advantage in their favor. Dragon S spawned here, and both teams are looking to try to posture themselves properly to make sure they can take this objective here. It's just going to be a bit of a tight.
Wait, but they're not in position. Chiv's going to have to go for a massive steal on this play.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight call. Dragon is pulled here. Unstoppable
What
goes
is,
in.
What?
And it's just a mad risk of ultimates being used left and right. One down on either side. The Kled comes in the middle of the team fight, gets the
Oh my god.
Potentially the Nautilus, as we see Vi coming in the middle of like the three of them, and escapes with their life. And now they can potentially try and finish off this Dragon here.
Chiv is looking for a steal. There is no ward here from White Knight. Okay, Chiv, I don't know about that flash, brother. That one's a little bit suspect. Even the honey fruit is going to give them. Now they have vision of the Lee Sin. White Knight has been smurfing around this dragon pit so far here in this game. Makes that engage happen onto Azir. And now this is Soul. Him and regular Moon Man. They have controlled this game. Guys, please just finish the Soul. Please. We don't need to go for this kill onto Chiv.
Oh man, a slow whittling of the dragon. And unfortunately, White Knight does come down, but you do secure the Dragon Soul at the very least, which it may have been costing them a lot more than they would have liked, but they still secured it nonetheless. And so now they have all of those resistances online. They have that barrier online, and so it's going to be, if the last team fight was a bit of a struggle for KOA to finish things off, the next team fight is going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, White Knight smurfed the hell out of that last fight. He literally, I was like, oh, we're peeling off of the dragon. That was a little bit questionable, but they make a slam engage onto Flow. He has to flash backwards, uses the ultimate. The GA also buys a ton of time. And again, I think this cannon just is not useful in these fights. We're seeing massive slicing maelstroms that do no damage. And then after that, Crimsonating is able to let loose on this Transcended Yunara. This Kled, again, so powerful. Look at the HP bar. He has 5,000 HP plus the Mountain Soul now on top of that, and hasn't even used his upgraded TP. When he gets his upgraded TP, it's going to be a 30% HP shield on top of that. So he's nigh unkillable, and you look at his build, Sterix, Death Stance, finishing what looks to be a oh my god, what is it? It's the magic resist item that gives you movement speed as well. Like, he's going to be incredibly tanky and essentially immovable in these fights, while also having enough max health damage to knock down any one of these members coming on through. And Flo has not had the tightest game so far. Went from a really far ahead Azir to someone who is kind of just skating by. I need to see him. Remember, we're talking about him and Hub whittling away at their opponents and then letting others clean out the fights.
Yeah, and it's like There might have been an angle for potential another engage here, another team fight, but SFU doesn't want to try and risk more than what is needed right now. So do try opt to reset here, and we do see Kled is just keeping the bot lane shoved in. Someone has to respond, making sure, if at the very least, making sure this is years out of that fight. It means there's so much more in favor for this upcoming team fight for them, as we do see White Knight engage on the Nautilus here, chunking it down a little bit for this fight, but it looks like they're just not going to try and hard commit to this, and now it might be a fight in mid as both teams are rotating properly here now.
Right now, KOA are almost entirely reliant on Azir winning them the game, because Ezreal, while he is on 5 items, doesn't have the same level of a big team fight potential like a Yunara. Yes, he's a level down, but this is Yunara with also 5 items with almost 100% crit chance at this point, and he is really strong. Like, shield bow on top of the Bloodthirster with a Lulu, now a Mountain Shield. Like, you see it right now, he has about 600 HP. Diadem of Souls plus all of this, or not Diadem, but having the Echoes of the Moonstone Renewer, he is really, really strong. I think it is near impossible. And Kled can just do this. Kled, I think, just wins this 1v1.
No, there's literally nothing Flo can do here. It does look like the Knot and Ezreal are looking trying to rotate here, but at the very least, you get that Azir ult out, which I think is a huge winning factor for SFU, as they're just gonna be able to rip Baron. It slowed down a little bit as KOA just catches on here. Corvus is unlocked by Insanity, gets their first kill here in this game before getting shut down by White Knight, as now we do see SFU turn the
Look
fight,
at Crimson,
try and secure and take this game here, but no, double kill going to Ezreal, into a triple kill. That is a huge flip for KOA to stay alive.
I think they just won the game. I mean, they have a mid-wave, you have a Azir with 4 items. Somehow this fight ends up turning for them. Flo had the empowered recall thanks to the role quest, comes back, TPs into this play, and they spent so much time. A great Zonia's there from Insanity, splits the fight. It's great that Shiv ended up living. His survival there completely dictates the fight, and we're going to game 3.
What a back and forth it's been, even though we once again saw just that same process of a slow and steady game. One side gets a bit of an advantage. I believe it was SFU who gets that early on advantage, but unfortunately isn't able to secure it and close it out. And now KOA leading it off here. It's now at match point, and it's could be anyone's game at right now.
Yeah, that's I think the most important part. This is 2 games in a row now where we have seen early Dragon second going over to SFU Black. They've had 2 souls here in this series so far, and have also already won. Like, that's incredible. And now you've lost with a soul. It'll be side select that does go over to them, but I think generally speaking that we've just seen cleaner gameplay come out, and I think just better overall play coming in from SFU. So I really want to see them kind of bounce back, because that was their game to lose, honestly.
Yeah, it was so extraordinary thing to see, and I mean, I I do wish I had the time to like really like go back and sort of see exactly what fell apart there at the end for SFU, because it was looking like really strong for them, but at the end of the day, there was something that went wrong that I was able to catch, and now you're sitting at a 1-1 scenario, and it's gonna be up to this game 3 to see who can exactly secure it off now.
Yeah, we're gonna have a small break as ourselves have maybe some refreshments to get ourselves ready for game number 3, and for you to hopefully not click out. We're gonna be right back with game number 3, the last game of this grand finals here for the Novus Cup. All right. No more extra tries. No extra lives here. Last game of the grand finals here for the Novus Cup League of Legends tournament. And Dark, we've had kind of two games that almost feel like an SFU 2-0, but at the very end of that last game, we got to
Hmm.
see the Kittens come back. We've got hopefully a much closer game because all of these early games have really felt that even with some moves, again, big focus in game number 2 around mid jungle, it really feels like SFU has really come to play here in this tournament.
Yeah, it's very much SFU fighting to stay alive right now. And in this scenario, it's going to be a question of how does SFU close things out, because KOA they've shown that they have the fight and they can absolutely and completely not necessarily walk SFU, but like just make sure they stay in the leads, make sure they stay in the advantage, just keep resources back into their in their own pockets and not try and lose a lot of that lead. But at the end there, you saw KOA's kind of sort of slip that up a little bit, and so now I wonder if SFU is thinking like, okay, we know we can actually win this. Is that enough of a mental shift for them to be able to actually lock things in for themselves?
KOA's big problem so far here in this series has been top lane. I feel like the Insanity, again, kind of a last minute substitute, is an IRL friend of Chiv, but whether intentionally or not, has not really had the best set of games when it comes to both his laning phase and his team fighting. I think in that last one it was a little bit better because he got bailed out just by having this Zonias that pulled White Knight away, but that's not really a position you want to be in. You don't want to have to pray that your opponents have to make a mistake in these games, especially in a grand finals here. So I'm hoping that either we get something that is a better matchup in top lane, which is hard because this is not Fearless. You are basically going to be playing a lot of the same matchups over and over again as we've seen in mid lane now. And hopefully we get more a better carry here for Hub. I know that Ezreal was a little bit more safe versus the Vi, but it's been proven that he gets the advantage consistently in the 2v2. And again, mid jungle has also been a big talking point here in the series.
Yeah. And as we are heading to this next game, we do see right out of the gate Azir is banned. So no big shuffling, no big dives or anything like that on that side of the mid lane, and a Riven ban as well. I mean, Riven has been a bit of on the terror, at least on the solo queue experience. I don't know how well she's been translating in the more general competitive scene, right? But at the very least, those are two champs out right out the gate.
We're just staying with the same bands, but this time it's going to be Azir. No Corki band coming on through. I'm looking at the prior bands. It has been Alistar, Graves, and Corki. Riven consistently seems to be banned here by the Kittens. Viego and Wukong were some of their bans that we saw from them in the prior games as well. So I'm wondering if they're going to kind of stick to that trend. Does this mean we're finally going to see Corki come on through? Because I think Corki has been one of, if not the most consistent champions that we've seen from them.
I think if anything, now would probably be the best time to pull out that tried and true pairing that we've been talking about throughout the entirety of this game, of this match, right? But we do see the Alistar ban comes through. Nothing new on that end, and we're to see again consistent bans across the board.
Perfect. All right, he gets hovered. Hopefully, he gets locked in. There's a lot of different choices. I know we've been talking a lot about the Corki, but also Yunara has been very, very popular here in just this series alone. So we'll see what the first pick here is for SFU Black as they end up on the blue side again for this last game here. There's that Corki. I do think that if Kins of Alec have done their homework, they will know that they're going to be seeing a nominee on their side. So either picking something that can punish some of the early laning phase, or an AD carry that hopefully is going to be able to either outrange or just out DPS this champion, which is very few and far between, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Corki with that true damage can be it can be a lot. Maybe not so much early on, but if you do let this Corki run rapid, it can very much get out of control really fast. And we do see that Ezreal and Xin Zhao get locked in here for KOA, so nothing too out there on their side, I think, or nothing too new we've seen at least on the series. I don't remember if they actually brought these two in the last two games or not.
Yeah, so we had the Ezreal last game, and then we had the Xin Zhao in game one. That didn't go very well for Chiv. That was a bit tougher. To me, this screams that we're going to kind of handshake. You'll take Nami on SFU side, and we'll take Karma as our answer on Kins of Alec. Just going for traditional poke. Generally, I think that I would take the side of Ezreal Karma, especially with that pairing with the Xin Zhao later. But Corki Nami early on, that lane is really difficult to deal with. The Gatling gun shred, also the Nami Tidecaller blessing, it just becomes a very, very potent 2v2 for the first couple of levels of the game. We see the Scion get locked in, a good blind, and I think a good takeaway from who is supposed to be our weak side player in Insanity. But instead, we're going to go for the Jarvan priority. So I don't really know why we're going for Jarvan this early on. There's plenty of escapes, and locking down an Ezreal isn't really a target, so maybe we're just trying to disincentivize an Orianna here in this game.
Maybe that might be the case. It's hard to say, to know exactly what some of these reasonings are here, but over on the other side, we do see Gwen get picked, and Gwen into Scion, it can be a bit rough, especially considering if Scion once again is that weak-sided player. So I think very much right now it looks like KOA is looking to try and pick a champion that could just completely nullify the other enemy top laner and try and use that advantage to convert it into just being an absolute monster in the mid to late game.
All right, we're going to 100% have new champions in mid. There's no Orianna, so we won't have 3 games of that champion. Azir was also banned. This is kind of Kins of Alec's choice. They know that the Nami is coming. Do we ban it now that the Karma has been taken away? Or are we going to look for another mid pick? It is going to be that support, so we're going to see a different pairing coming on through. Honestly, with what they're showing, I think a Braum or a Leona is really strong. You can also go for Rakan pairing with Jarvan and have a ton of long-range engage between them and their jungler. They're going to go for a Ryze ban, so maybe a Talia starts to come on through. Maybe we see something a little bit different in mid lane. But right now, I'm seeing from Kins of Alec, they're going to have a very strong spike on 2 items. Xin Zhao, Ezreal, Gwen. Gwen's actually a bit more of a lane bully, but what we've seen from some of the Scion passive stuff, and mostly what this champion has done early game, is that unless you can really abuse the 1v1, he kind of just outscales you, and the only reason you lose to this champion is that on side lane you're a lot weaker as this as the side of SFU Black. So they're going to pick the Sona. They're going to go for what is potentially an Ahri. I don't like this. I think the 2v2 is fine, but this doesn't really play well with Sona, and I think you're asking for a lot of trouble here versus a Xin Zhao versus a Gwen and a Nautilus.
Yeah, I am kind of worried about that bot lane because Corki Sona. It's not like it's a bad pairing by any means, right? But it does lack a lot of that oomph where some other pairings do have. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds here. And I do see on the other side Akali's being hovered on their side, but opting to swap to Aurora instead, which Aurora a very good battle range, in my opinion. Anyways, I always like seeing her, and she can do a lot, especially with the extra movement speed she gets, and just being able to not necessarily dash around, but hop around a lot.
Yeah, this champ is also very slippery. So I kind of feel like Jarvan's a bit homeless this game. Like who was he ulting here in this one? He cataclysms and Ezreal. Brother's dashing out. We're gonna do it onto Aurora. She can press ult and her W and her E. Like, all of these skills get her over that wall. You can also use this on to maybe Gwen, and Gwen dashes out. There's so many champions that become very difficult to kind of do. And it feels like SFU have a composition that is, all right, Jarvan, Ahri, and Sona are all going to throw their spells at a target that is trapped in this small area, and hopefully we burst them out. Hopefully we get a reset for our Ahri and we can continue to kind of chain kills afterwards. But if they don't find a first kill going on early, everything kind of blows up and it makes the game really tough to look. And I will note, this is now a game where I feel the player identities that we have seen from some of the people here in the grand finals is completely different, especially in top lane. The fact that right now, regular Moo has decided I'm going to play Scion. I'm going to be a mid and late game beast here in this game. And I'm going to just try to play frontline for my team is significantly different than the Kled and Grokkus we got for them in games 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I am looking at this SFU comp, and I do worry a lot for what they can do because, I mean, the only person you can realistically like jump on is the Xin Zhao, but even then, I don't think that's still a good target because there's just a lot of mismatches here, and it makes me worry for about what exactly is their game plan and how to do. Because what is the engagement here? In really, do you want to just send Simon in the middle of everyone? But you have the Gwen, you have the Rory, you have the Ezreal. Not a lot of people that can just kite out the Scion or just be able to keep up with him in the melee range. So it's like there's a lot of uphill battles here for SFU Black, but if they do manage to pull it off, I think that'll be a very glorious victory for them at the very least.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of like what else could maybe be an issue. Something to note in this series so far is we have seen that SFU Black have gotten a large majority of the dragons so far in this series. It was, I think, 2 dragons in game number 1 for KOA, and then a single dragon in that second game. Their priority around bot side, despite having what has appeared to be the better early game bot lane, has not really translated into them actually picking up these objectives. So I know it's going to be a bit of a tougher kind of pivot here this far into the series, but at a certain point, I do think with how important these souls have been in the series, you just have to make this commitment. Like, I'm sorry, I know you're playing Gwen, but please let's play around bottom lane. It's a bit tougher this game, but still I think you have some legs to stand on, especially you have a good enough duo in bottom lane to play, even if it is against a Corki and a Sona.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the fact that like these objectives, they've been kind of they always kind of pan out the same way these past few games. There's always been that steal on Baron. There's always been those people stacking the teams stacking the dragons, and so it's like to sort of see that happen again would just kind of solidify a lot of way that these players play and how a lot of these game plans pan out. But I think there's going to be enough in KOA's toolbox here to make sure that they're the ones who would be on the better side of those trades of those objectives.
All right, folks, I have wonderful news for us. We will probably be in game in about 30 seconds. We're getting through that spectator delay. We're almost here for game number 3. It's the last game here for the League of Legends tournament of the Novus Cup. And right after this will be Valorant. So you're going to get a full slate of the Riot titles. You already had TFT to start, League of Legends here for this one, about to finish up after this game. And then Valorant has their grand finals happening a few minutes after we're done with this series. So I'm really excited to see who's going to win this. It has been a lot closer than I think I was expecting coming into this series. And so far has at least delivered on that front when it comes to especially a lot of the play that we have seen between them.
Yeah, no, it's been definitely also entertaining at the very least because there's been a lot of these, not necessarily like big out of this world plays, right? But there's been like a lot of these very interesting moments where things don't really pan out the way you expect them to pan out, and stuff like that is always what makes this game so great, in my opinion, because there's no true way of like knowing how a lot of these pan out unless you spend literal hundreds of thousands of hours in this game. But no, as we do get ready to hop in here, game number 3, SFU Black versus Kittens of Alec here. Money will be granted to both teams because they've gotten this far at the very least, but it's going to be a fight of who can get the bigger side of the pot here.
And some of that regional pride, that collegiate pride we were talking about, some former UBC players versus the SFU Black. And SFU came with 2 teams, okay? So they need to do well here in this tournament, I think. They're the ones that need to prove something to me.
Yeah, this is definitely SFU to try and game. This is SFU's games to lose here. You bring in 2 teams and you can't even close out the number 1 spot. It's like
if both SFU teams get beaten by Alec, I think bragging rights eternally go over to Chiv and Flo. You know, Chiv talking about that he's never lost to SFU and he's not going to start today. Well, it comes down to this last game, that especially game 2. It was looking like it could potentially be a 2-0 at certain points. A large portion of that, thank you to Chiv and Flo. They did a great job in that last game playing around the Azir, and now you have this you have 2 burst mages, and one of them has Ignite. Corvus recognizing the early lane being important.
And a good hook early on from Nautilus to just make sure this Corki misses a lot of this early CS, a lot of this early XP. A very good way to just make sure that things start off in the right way for your lane here.
This is good. We're already kind of down to half now. Something that is going to be much easier to do as Corki is clear the minion wave, but if you're sitting under your turret and Ezreal's throwing poke at you, this is a level 1 Sona. She's great at healing, but not yet. Not this early into the game. Both junglers are pathing down to this side of the map, and thankfully for them, they have vision onto Chiv's Raptors here. They see exactly where the Xin Zhao is, and Jarvan's already making a move over and should be spotted likewise on their Raptors here. I wonder if there's going to be any pings. Good job from him staying under vision. It requires someone to actually move their mouse over and check, oh, have Raptors been started? No, he's going to get spotted now. So a decent start here, I think, coming on through already for the bottom lane of Kins of Alec.
And there is a bit of a trade here. If Flo is not careful, they're forced to use Flash this early on, which makes it susceptible to future ganks here, which could be huge to try and swing things in their favor here. And of course, you know, you have the Scion doing what Scion is known to do, and just being in the back line, proxying as per usual, just giving up to that lumberjack skin and being a farmer, so to speak.
I mean, yeah, just let the Gwen have to catch the wave at her turret. Does mean that she's a little bit trapped. Also cuts away at that Ignite, right? He took Ignite for this matchup and doesn't even need it at this point. You were talking about the flashes being used there. I'll hold this as Hub almost finds this kill.
Ooh, it was a bit of a close call, but Priscilla using everything they had to keep Crimson alive, which once again just reestablishes this game plan from the bot side of just making sure this Corki misses out as much resources as they can to delay them from being online for as long as they can.
Yeah, and I was going to say the mid lane flashes are a little bit more wonky just because Flo has so many the Ignite mid might actually just kill him here. Last tick of it.
Oh! But Chiv coming in just secures this 1-for-1 trade, and it's still an even playing score right now, but the momentum at the very least is in favor of the jungler.
Yeah, and now Flo, because they have to teleport, they get right back in the lane, they get to push. I wonder if he just TPs, pushes this wave and then the next one, and then looks for another recall. Because of home guards, it is so easy to just take an instant recall. Wow, the flash from Alec just to get the root there. Really good stuff, and finally a bot lane duo here coming in for KOA that is actually doing work early. It doesn't matter that Sona gets this kill. This is a huge wave that Crimsonating is not getting access to.
Yeah, no, that was a very good tower dive there just to once again reinforce this agenda they're trying to push here. And now things are 2-0 Ezreal this early on is very good here. But regular move going in on Sanity here. Yeah, that's good. 100 going to be a solo kill here for this Scion. And Chiv is coming in to see if they can potentially swing this back, equalize a little bit of the top lane, regular move, a bit overextended, dodges the poke there, and is going to be able to at least stay alive unless Chiv is insane enough to go on a tower dive and narrowly avoiding those abilities there.
Yeah, Chiv has already used 2 of his dashes, so it's like the wind becomes lightning is cool, but once he already uses a dash, it's essentially useless. It's barely poke and wouldn't have done enough damage to regular Mu. He's going to be able to recall, teleport back in. This Gwen is already behind, and Gwen is one of your champions you want to try to have in a good spot to hopefully get into the backline and be a nuisance. At the very least, just buy time and space for your team. Now we're seeing a very good invade come in from White Knight. He's going to take enemy wolves, and the Scuttle is spawning on the bottom side of the map, which means that he is going to be closer. This is finally where we can start to see maybe some access around the bottom side. This Scuttle is going to be so important. It's all about that upgraded smite going from 600 to 1,000, and potentially even opening up for a dragon here, despite the bottom lane lead. I think that this Jarvan can be super strong at this point.
Yeah, this Jarvan, especially in this early on, where the bot lane has a lot less resources to try and out damage and out sustain the Jarvan diving you. It could very well be a big swing here. Once again, the Nautilus lands another huge hook, chunking down the Corki, but turning to Priscilla as White Knight, being the knight in shining armor, saves this from being too devastating for them. Does lose a 1-for-1 trade, and Shiv coming in to gank again. Well, not gank again, to counter gank this and keep this momentum in the Ezreal's favor. Now 3-0.
For KOA, that was a free kill for them. I mean, Corki is using his Valkyrie forward, and he had a longsword and tier. He has no damage in comparison to this Ezreal, and even the barrier being used by Hub keeps him alive. So he gets to stay there. White Knight misses a flag and drag, so no knockup available to them. And that turns into not only more kills for Chiv and Hub, but now finally, one of the first early dragons going over to Kittens of Alec. A great early start for them. And again, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're having it around one of the biggest carries that we've seen here in this series in Hub, who, despite getting massive leads in both of these games, has yet to really transfer that into winning objective fights like early dragons.
Yeah, Hub definitely has the opportunity here to really shine and actually use their momentum here for a big swing in their favor here. And interestingly enough, Insanity did use their ult up there in that little skirmish, which will amount to everything. And once again, catching the Corki with the hook, keeping Priscilla knocked down. They're not going to be able to get the pick here, but Hub just is able to very clearly follow up, chunk the enemy bot lane down, and just keep them out of the play, keep them out of the lane, not letting them be able to do much of anything.
They have two very similar item spikes here, and Hub's not even going for tier. So I wonder if that's a conscious decision. I think if you usually don't have tier by this point, it's going to be too late to try to stack with the just the way that the game ends up kind of going in terms of game pace. So this will be interesting to see from Hub. Wonder if he's just foregoing the tier to pick up items like Spear of Shojin and Endless Hunger, something we've seen constantly from our Ezreal players just around the world. Maybe even just trying to force it back here, because you're going to be pretty close to Trinity Force, I imagine, especially with the turret plates that they're getting access to. And you do have Grubs, which we've seen Grubs have take a pretty big backseat in the game ever since their first initial nerf from 6 to 3. And now with where the game is now, Dragons, again, just being the kind of the name of the game when it comes to we're talking about like late game objectives to play for. So in terms of side laning, it is a little bit better for KOA, but Sion is very stalwart and can move around the map freely, and Ari's most broken ability is by far her W. This spell has no mana cost, essentially. It's 30 mana, but because of your mana per 5, you just get it back immediately.
Uh-oh.
We're making some kind of play. Insanity, please!
Oh! Gets the pick. So does go down for a 1-for-1 trade. And even if Insanity was alive at the very end, Corvus was still coming in from behind to get ready to cut the Gwen off from escaping here. And now White Knight looking to enter their jungle. They know there's someone in here. Doesn't want to hard engage just yet, because they know that the enemy bot lane is also, or at least the Ezreal is not in vision. So it's a bit of a hard fight to try and find the right angle here. But it looks like everyone's just gonna back off. No engagements here, and just keep on with their own game plans.
And I love what we see here from Kittens of Alec. I mean, they know that they have the teleport from Flo. He gets to use this timer to fade into bot side. The bottom lane of SFU Black cannot step up to the wave, so they lose more plates, more gold, more experience. 3 Grubs going over to SFU. Not at all a terrible trade, but it feels like we're kind of picking up table scraps at this point. We're trying to just get whatever is allowed for us at this point. Also to note, we are getting some item completions. I know we talked about the tier not being here for Hub. This is Eclipse being taken by White Knight. A little bit more of an aggressive Jarvan build.
I mean, when your enemy team has a lot of escape tools, I guess the idea is just like go all in on damage and try and make sure you have the damage to actually burst down as much as you can.
I mean, at that point, you just go lethality Jarvan.
Yeah,
because the shield is kind of useless if we're being honest at this point. And look at how they're playing in between the waves. Yeah. I want to note, when you're in the new season, the way that you get quest experience is based on your most alive outer turret. Priscilla lives through this trade thanks to the heals from both the Summoner spell and her Sonata, but they're getting no quest XP right now. Because they're behind their tier 1 turret, that is, you're not getting the passive experience gain from them. So Hub and them, they're getting closer and closer, finally finishes the quest there. You're taking plates away, you're preventing experience. You're opening up a 50 CS lead already here at 11 minutes. That is massive. And all of that early game that they were going to try to play for with this Corki has been completely cut away either from draft or just from the gameplay here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the kind of bot lane start you want to see as an Ezreal, just being able to be so get at least not necessarily online, but get so far ahead so early on without too many issues is exactly the kind of scenario you want to see. And now with this domination now, Corki is just going to be struggling to keep up with this tempo, with the speed of the remainder of this game, and it could very well just not be a major player in this game until he gets a lucky shutdown. And once again, we see in the bot lane, Nautilus going in, Priscilla being forced to use Flash to try and maybe escape here, but it's not enough. And now with Shift coming as well, canceling the dash here means that they can be able to get Shift out of here, but the Ahri comes in. White Knight not enough. Shift still alive, and the Nautilus unfortunately gone, but the Corki has survived with 1 HP.
Oh, we have the ultimate coming up soon from Hub as well. It doesn't even matter. Yeah, like he can literally just shift forward in a second. They're going to use the ultimate between worlds from Flow. We'll secure the kill, and it feels like now the game is really slipping away from SFU Black. They started off the series so hot. Coming into game number 2, they were also at points being able to contest with their opponents. It was a last-minute fight that saved this team, and now Priscilla just runs top lane, hopefully to get this kill onto Gwen. Oh my god!
She manages to get it, but it's almost always gonna end up the trade with just how this Scion is with his passive, being able to keep on fighting after death, especially if he can just make sure that Gwen is low enough that he just auto her to death. It's gonna be a trade on any grounds, and with how Gwen is starting to fall behind in CS as well, it's gonna start looking to be like a bigger and bigger losing trade as time goes on.
I want to come to the defense of regular Moo because I can already, thankfully I don't have chat open, but I can already feel that there might be some people who are saying, well, of course, casters, of course the Scion loses to the Gwen. He has no magic resistance, but I want to remind you that Gwen does a lot of true damage. And the healing, the post-mitigation healing from her passive, especially with that ultimate, really, really big, is a big factor here in this matchup. So already doing a very good job. Hub, that is a big mistake. That is your shutdown going over. And to Sona is very good. Sona as an enchanter works very well with gold. So 900 gold to them is a big, big swing going over. I don't think it fixes the game, but it certainly helps with getting this Sona into the board. Now, completely leapfrog ahead of Alec on this Nautilus.
Yeah, it may have been a questionable play here by Hub on the Ezreal, but it does mean that on the other side of the map, on the other side of the game, SFU does get some gold in the pocket to try and at least start maybe equalizing some of the playing field here. We do see bot lanes looking to try and potentially get a dive here against the Gwen, but Gwen's just playing safely, just trying to make sure they can get whatever resources they can before getting maybe pushed out here.
She can go for an outplay onto Crimson here, because she does have the ultimate as the Gwen. No Hollowed Mist will make that a little bit more difficult. Seeing plays on two sides of the map. Easy kill for White Knight.
Yeah, White Knight just waiting for the right opportunity to come in and dive now. Does go down though, unfortunately here, as the reigner of KOA does come in, and now it looks like SFU doesn't want to try and pressure anymore, backing off, resetting, and cashing in some of the gold that they just earned here. But it looks like Hub is back on the top line, trying to, I guess, pick away at this top turret, get even more gold as much as they can. And
yeah, like Hub is gonna be way too fed at this point. Like, oh, we're going for 15-minute tier. Okay, so Hub, we built Muramana at like 1430 after that death to the Scion here. He won't get the full turret. He'll get 2 plates at the very least. This is going to be a very late Muramana.
Nice hook!
He's dead. Okay, well.
But the Scion teleports in, locks down the Nautilus, almost locking on the edge, but they are able to escape in time. Crim does go in. Unfortunately, is melting too fast here as the Nautilus does go down. And SFU actually might be able to come out on top of this fight here as KOA doesn't have the damage.
Wait a minute, Flo's coming, Chiv.
Come in, but Flo does come in with the ultimate Worlds Beyond. Gets the Jarvan, maybe getting the Corvus in time as they just leave the Scion as they should. Not want to talk that passive.
Okay, so Insanity, does he die? Does he die? One more?
What?
Turret is not heated up. Scion lives. You got a lot of summoner spells out there. I think for SFU, that is a good enough trade. It does. Oh, Sona, one more auto. There we go. There's the auto attack slow. The healing from this. Oh my god, no way. No way. Look at the Conqueror. Insanity.
Insanity being insane enough to 1v1 a Sona while at 1 HP. Like don't get me wrong, Gwen on any other circumstance should be able to win that, but with such a health difference, it was getting kind of dicey there, and I was getting kind of worried, but I guess Gwen does have to sustain to get it down, and yeah, Crimson has nothing to do there. No flash, nothing they can do to try to defend that.
Oh, and that's tough because, I mean, Chiv's coming back onto the map with 2 items on this Xin Zhao. You have complete control of the map. The problem that we're seeing here for SFU is that because one person dies on a side lane, at any given moment, Kins of Alec are just pushing. They're able to catch one wave, push out, and then move. It allows for them to continue to keep up with their CS leads. I know that Insanity has fallen a little bit behind on the Scion, but just that trade alone gave them extra room to grab that top tier one, and now they have control of mid. This is going to take a little bit of time for Crimson to come back, and while this is happening, you already see the move of Vision over into the bottom side jungle. Regular Moo does have a flank and the ultimate, and Hub has no flash, only has the Arcane Shift available to save them at this point, but Flow, by pushing on this bottom lane, kind of start to pull SFU apart at the seams on the map.
Yeah, no, this is a very good just spread of players here to try and make sure it's hard for SFU to try and hard commit to anything here. But Regular Moo does go in on Gwen here. Insanity not being able to fight back properly here, being tossed around, but it's still sustaining. Maybe they can pick up Priscilla, but no, unfortunately, it's stunned. It cannot get that at least 1-for-1 trade, as we see from the bot side. Xin Zhao is able to solo Dragon as they're still keeping this wave push on the bot lane, maybe being able to go for a dive if they play the cards right, but no, looking to actually go for Rift Herald instead.
That was exactly the play that I wanted to see from this team, is let's make the pivot away from having to play around the top side or really have a big focus in mid. Let's get all of these early dragons. Finally, they turn their bottom lane leads into objective leads here. So they get the bottom side, they get almost a Dragon Soul point at this point. It's another Mountain Soul here in this game. And so far, the damage hasn't really clicked here for SFU Black. Like, we're waiting for Corki, but he's nowhere near completing this Muramana on time. There's a Sorelda's Grudge already here for Hub, and he's only going to get stronger. Like, this is a massive 2-item spike. He's going to get really big on what I assume is going to be 4, because he's going to go for either Spear of Shojin or the Endless Hunger. Either way, that is going to be finished either before or a little bit after the Muramana is completed. So you don't ever really get time to catch up in this game. And it's not like there's another lane that's ahead that has a sizable enough lead. The closest one we can say for SFU Black is Regular Moo Scion, but this is just a Scion. And he's not enough to get over what is this massive lead.
Yeah, no, it's a mountain that SFU has to climb here in order to try and steer back some control back into this game. Insanity looking to try and take whatever they can from the bot line before seeing that they're spotting 2 members of SFU being around. Not necessarily want to trust their luck as much as they can already, and looking just to stay safe, not trying to overextend here. White Knight looking to back here, cash in some more gold here, seeing if they can get closer to the next item completion here. As across the board, it looks like it's good just to be a sort of stalemate, of like trying to keep waves pushing, at least from KOA, trying to make sure that they have the vision, the advantage, the presence to just make sure that SFU just can't move up far forward at all.
Yeah, this is the part of the game that gets a little bit more boring for folks, is just with how little damage they have, it is tough to try to find engages. I know that White Knight right now is just trying to play to protect Corvus on the side so that he can collect minion waves. but without very many tools to engage, basically Jarvan being their only form of crowd control to walk forward, it becomes a lot more difficult for them to actually properly find anything. And similarly here for the side of KOA, the Kittens, they're looking for Nautilus hooks, but no one's stepping up anymore. And so you really don't get to pick your battles here on this one. It's going to be a little bit more farming. We have Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. It's kind of the big timer that we're all looking at. Any flashes that either side can burn before this upcoming fight is going to be a win. Honestly, if we take a fight right now, I actually wouldn't be too averse for it.
And it might happen down in mid, as we do see SFU and KOA sort of hovering, seeing exactly what's going to happen. But here on the bot side, Insanity does want to try and fight this Scion here. There's the flash that gets burned, and KOA's favorite, for KOA, SFU, regular blue is looking to try and stay alive as best they can. See if they can pick down Gwen a little bit longer, but the healing from Gwen is going to be too much. I don't think they can be able to get this trade in time. And now on the other side of the map at mid lane, a huge engage here, but it doesn't look like it could turn too much of anything, as we do see flashes, even more flashes get used.
Yeah, double flash from regular Moo and from Insanity. They both end up living, but now SFU are going to lose their top side for this trade. They're not going to be able to spot out the Gwen. Gwen will get their recall. A top tier 2 falls and more gold here. No flash from White Knight, I think, is a big exchange, though. That is going to be the biggest one, because now you're guaranteed it is a one-way trip into that Dragon Pit with no explosive cherry to get them over the pit. So this is kind of going to be one of the last fights of the game if SFU cannot secure this. They came into this series with a really good start to game number 1. Game number 2 was a little bit more trepidatious. They got the soul, but they still end up losing the game. And now it kind of comes down to this: who is going to be number 1 here? Going to be Kins of Alec, who have made a complete overhaul and have really started to scale into this series as a whole.
I mean, you can also tell by how they're walking too, just the confidence of just walking together, walking forward without any second thought here. KOA knows that they have a lot of cards in their favor, but still not entirely playing all their cards at once here. They still gotta be very careful. A good hook here locks down Priscilla, forced to flash out once again. Flo getting chucked down here as Corvus with the Ari looking to try to put down as much damage as they can, but it's not enough. Corvus goes down. We see another flash go down. Flo, and it is engaging Crimson, not being able to get that finishing blow on Flo, and now it's up to regular Move here to try and escape with the lives if they can, being forced to knock her around, missing the hook unfortunately, but I don't think that's gonna matter as they're still gonna be able to clean him up.
And all the while, Insanity just walks down bottom lane, picks up another turret, another one in mid here. Scion's dead body's trying to pick up whatever little bits of scrap of gold, experience, and minions he can get, but a big team fight loss coming in for SFU Black now turns into a Mountain Soul, and what almost feels like the inevitability with now a 12,000 gold lead here for Kittens of Alec.
Yeah, no, it's really, I'm really hard struck here to try and find exactly how SFU can try and pull things around without playing like having some miracle play happen for them, and it's an unfortunate thing because, like you mentioned earlier, they did have a very strong start in the first game, and it was kind of shaky in the second game, and I had hopes that they could try and bring things around, and they probably still can bring things around here, but it's just going to be a lot more harder than what it might have looked like in the first 2 games.
Yeah, because I'm pressing tab, and I'm like, okay, I'm 2 items Corky at 25 minutes. It's not great, but you know, we maybe we can fight. And then I'm looking, oh crap, there's an Ezreal the Bloodthirster. Oh, there's gonna be an Aurora who's now finished a death cap. How are we dealing damage to this team with a Mountain Soul on top of that? Now we've seen the team with Soul lose before here in this series. We've seen a lot of Baron throws as well, or at least steals at the very least. So it's going to maybe be that last-ditch effort, but when I look at this team, when I look at this SFU Black lineup, it's not inspiring. I'm at a loss of words and not an ability to really find who is going to be able to really carry this game and maybe bring it back for them.
Yeah, I mean, as we're looking onto the map, it's just with no hesitation pull on Baron right now. Now, the funny thing would be is if we see SFU still manages to steal this here, but I don't think they're in a position to even consider that, as we do see Jarvan is looking to try and get a pick here on the Gwen at the very least, which could actually provide at least a little bit of reconciliation for their efforts here, but I don't think it's still going to be enough, as yeah, Baron is gone. Insanity can still do a large amount of damage here and make it a very hard fought effort, and Priscilla unfortunately does get that final blow there.
They'll get the objective bounties thanks to them grabbing what is going to be this bottom lane tier 1. They're giving it to Sona because Ahri and Jarvan need to recall, but there's no Spirit Rush, so this Ahri's efficiency is going to be a little bit lower. Jarvan's actually going to finish this. Maybe he has what is, I assume, a GA coming in on 3. They're going to be losing big portions of their base. The Baron pushing on 2 separate lanes here. Mid lane tier 3 is going to fall. Inhibitor now going down as well. The top lane tier 3 falls as everything, all of their base now belongs over to the Kittens of Alec. And it feels like the last moments of this game, can we see SFU Black actually put on a big defense? Or is this going to be them kind of coming back in this series and finishing it off in a 2-on-1 fashion?
Yeah, this will be their last stand here. Flow forcing or they're chunking down Priscilla, which could be huge if they want to try and press it on. But no, White Knight is unfortunately caught out there. They're looking to try and see if they can chase him down, keep this Jarvan up as long as they can, using the Warrior to cut off the Jarvan, keep him locked down long enough for both Chip and Flow to come in and get the pick.
Hold
there.
up.
Priscilla goes down here as we see our Jarvan does use the big leap, but no, it's not enough, as now the remainder of KOA is looking to try and clean this up and end this game here, and I don't know what SFU can do here to defend.
Yeah, I think that's just going to be it. This is going to be SFU Black losing out to Kittens of Alec. The SFU Slayers, apparently, they took down SFU Crimson. They took down SFU Black here in the Grand Finals. Are going to be your Novus Cup Grand Finals winners here for the League of Legends tournament.
What a set it has been, from the first game being rather dominant for KOA to the second game being a bit more shaky, and now third game we're back to KOA being the ones in the driver's seat. And man, oh man, both teams did a very well job at the end of the day, right? But it is KOA who shows that they're the ones who will come out on top, as well as reaffirming the one thing they've been saying about being the SFU killers.
Look, they beat up on their Crimson squad. Chiv apparently has never lost to SFU, and he's going to continue that streak here in the series. Maybe ending it on a high note, considering we don't usually see too many long-form tournaments. We're talking about for locals here. Again, Novus doing a really cool thing of allowing Metro Vancouver locals to play in multiple different Riot titles at the same time. But a really great job over to Kittens of Alec. And honestly, they kind of ramped up in the series. Their game one looked really, really soft. Like, we didn't get too many good connects in the mid jungle. We had some questionable decision making, but it felt like as the day went on, I felt like their decision making got a little bit cleaner, and especially by game 3, SFU Black almost felt like they ran out of steam. Yeah, no, it was quite the show to watch here. And now Kittens of Alec do go home with that 800, right? Or am I mixing up numbers again? 700 and 300. 700. That was it. Those were the numbers. Yes, 700 split between the 5 players, right? But 700 going to your pockets, like we discussed earlier, $35 an hour. That's pretty good. Feels good. Feels good. Before we close out the show, though, Dark, we do have to give a quick shout out to Novus, a local Vancouver-based internet service provider that has been connecting communities for the past 30 years. Recognized by Ookla Speedtest as the fastest and most reliable internet in 2025 for Metro Vancouver, they're known for their no-contract services and commitment to being the feel-good network. They've proudly partnered with Gallant Gaming for years to help grow competitive esports experiences like the Novus Cup you're watching now. So go check them out over at novusnow.ca for more information on some packages. That's it for us, though, Dark. We're going to be kicking it over to the Valorant side of the tournament, but there will be a short break afterwards. I want to thank everybody for showing out, whether you were here for the TFT tournament and the league side or just this tournament. Thank you again for watching. Again, congratulations not only to SFU Black and Kittens of Alec, but all the other teams that participated. And we'll be right back with the Valorant finals here for Novus Cup.